In spite of the craziness in the world we're living in right now, one thing is positive. The establishment know that if people keep coming together and standing up to them, they do not stand a chance. I had a fantastic conversation with Dore, fellow YouTuber, fantastic comedian, brilliant man, independent thinker. You should watch his channel and subscribe to that too. He came on my podcast Under the Skin and talked about the Democrat Party, how they're betraying people, how the establishment is falling apart. Funny, insightful, well-researched. Stay to the end of this clip because I want you to comment. I want to know exactly what you think about it. As well as having high-level conversations with brilliant thinkers, I'm touring all over the UK. You can come see me in Glasgow, Plymouth, Newcastle, Bristol. There's a link in the description to come see me live. You won't believe these shows. They're crazy. Come see me. Right, let's get into this.
What seem to you to be the absolute priorities in creating a new politics? You know, like media control, freedom of speech, allocation of funds, real democracy, waking people up. Which is like, I know this is your bread and butter. You do it every day. What would be your priorities, and would you address some of the things I said, like that sort of local, like that tax autonomy model and stuff?
Well, let me just say this before I address your question directly, is that, you know, I live in California. Now, California is the 5th largest economy in the world. Just the state of California. And we have a super majority Democrats elected in California to run our state legislature. Super majority, meaning Republicans can't stop anything the Democrats want to do. And we also have a Democratic governor. So if you think the fix to capitalism or oligarchy or to the republicanism or corporatism or to any of the problems in your life is voting harder Democrat, this should disabuse you of that idea. There's people sleeping under every bridge in California. We don't have student debt relief. We don't have, people can't afford to live here. We have unbelievable income disparity. We have a housing crisis, and we don't have health care in California. So if you think you can vote your way by voting Democrat out of any problem you're in, that is ridiculous. And that's why when people come on your show and say, we got to just vote harder for Democrats to fix it, they don't even believe that. That's just a lie. That's no one who is a sentient being who's been alive for the last 6 years. I've been watching politics since 1980. Nobody can believe that. That's just a bullshit, 100% on its face. The people who keep telling you to vote for Democrats are people who don't want to actually get outside the polite society that they circle in. You know, those the bubbles that they travel in. They want to stay friends with all those people people who are oppressing workers and all that stuff. And they don't want to. That's what that is about. Now, how can we get more control over our government? Now, I mentioned Ralph Nader before, and I said this before I knew he had said this, but in 2015, 2016, I was telling people, because the Democratic Party had cheated Bernie Sanders. That's not hyperbole. It was proven. People had to step down in shame that they were cheating. Hillary Clinton was literally running the Democratic National Committee during the primary, which is, you know, that's fraud. That's unethical fraud and should be criminal. So what I told people is, you can't now give your vote to these people. So what you have to do is, if everybody who voted for Bernie withheld their vote and told pollsters that they're not going to vote for Hillary Clinton, she would be down 10% in the polls, and she would never have a chance to beat Donald Trump. And so then we would have power. And then the Democratic Party would have to come to us, because then they can't win an election without us. So we would be forcing some kind of an issue there. And so that's what Ralph Nader was saying all the time. We don't have to win an election. If we can get 10% or 15% of the people, 10 million or 15 million people, to band together and say, we're not voting for you unless you promise us health care. We're not voting for you unless you promise to end the wars and invest that money back here. We're not voting for you unless you promise to cancel our student debt. We're not voting for you unless you promise to give us a living wage. They would have all that power. Now it's up to the Republicans or the Democrats. Which ones do you want? And now to be all out in the open. And if neither of them wanted those votes, that's when we'd have another trucker sit down where they would shut stuff down. So this is that was my big idea, Russell, that you don't need to get enough people in a third party or a major party that could actually win a national election. You just need to get enough people that are like-minded, who are willing to not vote for those parties. And that's how you influence them. And that's how you can have massive. So we're not going to get anything in the United States without massive public displays of protest, right? Direct action. So that's what's happening in Canada. And they don't want to cover that. As you mentioned, they're not covering it. And if they do, they cover it in a disparaging way because strikes are catchy. When that stuff, when people see how well that's working, how much that has the establishment shitting their pants, because they have to stop that soon. And as soon as, if people saw that, we could actually take our power back, right? I said, if everybody who worked at UPS and Amazon just didn't go to work for 2 days, the whole country would stop. And so they have to realize their power. But the problem is unions also get corrupted. And so now the major unions aren't really against the oligarchy. They are the oligarchy. So that's why it has to.
Donald Trump and the storied mugshot. Now, look, I'm still having fun with this. Perhaps I just have a little bit too much lib in my bones. But I got to admit, it was pretty great to see him and what he went with. You know, we didn't know if he was going to go with the smirk or the beaming, kind of mocking smile. Instead, according to his aides, he was trying to channel Churchill with this. I get like Revenge of the Sith energy, you know, when Hayden Christensen was trying to act really intensely in the third prequel movie, and he just did the scowl the whole time. And when he's going to the dark side, that's how you know. So that's what the energy I get from this. Let's put this up on the screen. Yeah, there he is.
I think it looks like he's trying not to cry.
His eyes are very red.
But the eyebrow cocking is almost like it's almost like rock level. He's sort of like can't tell if it's like ironic or not.
I mean, I think he wanted to look tough.
Yeah.
It says never surrender after he surrendered to authorities.
Never surrender upon literally surrendering.
DonaldJTrump.com. Donate to my legal defense, please. That's why he posted on Twitter for the first time since January 8th, since his account was locked.
There's a lot of Republicans that are saying, you know, this is exactly, you shouldn't have done this. Don't let him get in his zone. He's really going to go off now that you did this. This is exactly where he wants us. I just say, like, all that money that could be going to Republican primaries, yes, send that to this guy's legal defense. I'm cool with that.
It is a really fascinating moment in American history when someone's existential dread about going to prison is completely intertwined with a political campaign. It seems also like the lawyers and the campaign advisors, it's just one big happy family there, which presents just, you know, a bunch of different ethical questions, but let's put that aside for right now. There he is, former president of the United States, Donald Trump, booked on 13 felony charges in Fulton County. That's 13 out of 91 individual charges against him right now in total. 13 in Fulton County, 4 in the federal election case, 40 in the classified documents case, just because of the number of documents, 34 in the New York one for falsifying business records. And what's important here is that no federal pardon works for Trump in this case, because it's a state case. And in Georgia, they have previously stripped the governor of the power to pardon as well. So that also makes it more difficult for Trump, because say there was some, you know, far right governor who wanted to do so, they wouldn't have that power. The power that they do have, though, and we'll get into this definitely with Jamal, is that Fani Willis is in jeopardy of being ousted from office because Brian Kemp signed a law in May allowing for a basically politicized body to oust prosecutors if they are not sufficiently tough on crime, even if they're democratically elected. And this is just like a Republican playbook now to look, you know, tough on crime and to target oftentimes non-white reformer prosecutors throughout the state if they choose to maybe not, you know, warehouse people and lock them up with
like Willie Horton sort of policy.
Right. And now it can, and I'm not sure what the intention was from Kemp's end, but he signed it and they have fast tracked it. So it is supposedly going into effect on October 1st. So they could potentially try to get her out of office in retaliation for choosing to go and prosecute Donald Trump. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Just something to monitor. Here is the 91 count charged in total. Donald Trump speaking to reporters after he surrendered to authorities at the Fulton County Jail. And a reminder that apparently he tried to orchestrate this so this would happen basically in prime time for the news cycle. So he still has that that mentality, and this is what he had to say.
It's a very sad day for America. This should never happen. If you challenge an election, you should be able to challenge an election. I thought the election was a rigged election, a stolen election, and I should have every right to do that. As you know, you have many people that you've been watching over the years do the same thing, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Stacey Abrams or many others. When you have that great freedom to challenge, you have to be able to, otherwise you're going to have very dishonest elections. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. This is one instance, but you have three other instances. It's election interference. So I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all, and we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think is very dishonest. So thank you all very much, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, back to Bedminster. You did challenge the election, and you lost those multiple court challenges, and then you went around that and with the rest of your co-conspirators, cooked up a scheme that would submit fake electors, aka fake vote totals, to the official count in order to install yourself in power. That is not what Hillary Clinton did when she talked about Russian interference in the election. Even if it was overblown and a way to deflect blame from her loss, that is not the same. That is the actual free speech protection there. She can say whatever the hell she wants. She could have said Russia changed the vote totals and she still would not have been prosecuted because that's the free speech protection. She would have been prosecuted if she chose to go around the process and ask the electors to change the results that they were tabulating and submitting.
Yeah.
That's the fraud. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, the difference was also that with regards to the electoral college thing, it's people were trying to change that, not to commit fraud and say oh, there's something fishy about this election, but to say hey, maybe we should go with the popular vote instead of with
this convoluted
sort of old system.
Yes.
That's a completely different political project that doesn't involve calling people up and asking them to find votes for you.
Right. And then, I mean, with the Stacey Abrams case, there was legitimate, I think, accusations there because the guy she was running against, the current Brian Kemp, right, the current governor of Georgia, was in charge of the electoral process at that time in his capacity as, was it Secretary of State or Attorney General? Secretary of State. So, I mean, it just and Stacey Abrams, once that challenge concluded, went away and
looking for votes.
Yeah, she did not. She did not do that. She did not call and pressure people as a part of a criminal scheme. And so the free speech argument, that's all they've got, honestly. And it's just silly because even I said this before when we went through the Jack Smith federal indictment, it on the second page goes to great lengths to say Trump had the right to lie. He had the right to say whatever the hell he wanted. He had the right to challenge all of the
Yesterday was a historic day in the United States of America. The failed former president, civilly liable rapist, twice impeached, now 4 times indicted Donald Trump surrendered at Fulton County Jail in Georgia, flying from Newark to Atlanta on his private jet, making the 20-minute ride over to the jail, spending about 20 minutes at the jail, going back to the airport, making a brief 70-second statement, and then lumbering hunched over with his head down back onto his plane and back up to his house. Donald Trump will be embroiled in 4 criminal trials, in addition to a presidential campaign, a primary, which at least for now, he is still winning easily. However, it is early. We do not yet know the effect on polling from his lack of appearance at Wednesday's first Republican presidential debate. But let's start with Donald Trump's statement upon his return to the airport. Georgia racketeering law can carry a penalty between 5 and 20 years in prison. Here is Donald Trump continuing to insist that this is all just because he objected to the election results. Now, before I play the video, just a quick reminder, there was a mugshot. That mugshot released very quickly, and it is a posed and appearing to be defiant Donald Trump with a scowl and hunched over and bending forward. Make of the mugshot what you will. Here is the statement from the failed former president, unable to even give a 1-minute statement without lying.
Thank you very much for being here. I really believe this is a very sad day for America. This should never happen. If you challenge an election, you should be able to challenge an election. I thought the election was a rigged election, a stolen election, and I should have every right to do that. As you know, you have many people that you've been watching over the years do the same thing, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Stacey Abrams or many others. When you have that great freedom to challenge, you have to be able to, otherwise you're going to have very dishonest elections. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have 3 other instances. It's election interference. So,
welcome to a Saturday edition of Straight Out of, or I should say it to say it the way it's spelled, Straight Out of Politics. I'm your host for today. I'm CJ. That stands for Compton J, or just J, because I didn't have the name CJ or Compton J before Revolutionary Blackout, which was originally Fred Hampton leftist. So welcome to the show. The reason I'm coming to you on this Saturday is because I was supposed to be here yesterday. If you watched Nick's show, you saw him shout out, hey, stay tuned for CJ will be coming up after, but something came up where I couldn't come on, and I just pushed the show till today. Got a couple of updates to add to the stories, but essentially the same stories. But one story that dropped in our lap before that did not happen, I didn't know about, at least, and that is the epic Jimmy Dore rant that has kind of go semi-viral online. And a couple of things to tell you. Internet is, at this new place that I stay, internet is very iffy. Sometimes it's decent and sometimes it's shaky. So, but we'll see how it goes today. But just to give you a heads up, what was I just saying? I forget. But anyway, let me go through some of the topics. Actually, no. Before we go through the topics, a couple of things about the video. When you were watching the Majority Report video with Emma Vigeland, did you notice she said something about the mugshot or Trump being indicted? I don't know, or something about it, or it's just too much inner liberal or something, too much inner liberal. Did you guys hear her refer to herself sort of acknowledging that she has a lot of liberal in her, because she said too much? So I'm taking that as a lot. But that was one thing about these intro. These aren't really intro videos. These are videos you're watching while we wait, and I'm doing that just so you're not watching a ticking time clock. some shows do that, which is nothing wrong with it. I actually have one that I haven't used yet. Like, all right, guys. So now you can hear me. So it turns out this is another problem. My microphone has a short. So right now I have it kind of propped up to hear my sound. So sometimes it goes out. So you're gonna have to let me know in the comments when it goes out, because otherwise I don't know. The light stays on. So I discovered that yesterday because I was like, wait a minute, I didn't hit the mute button the other day when I was streaming. It's like I didn't hit the mute button. I wonder why my mic. And then I found out, yeah, the mic was not activating right. So I just looked at the comments and saw that. So it's not that I'm turning it off. It's just that there's a short in the mic. So there's two things. The internet's not that great, and there's a short in the mic. So I'm going to try not to touch this table too much. Now, let me see. You guys can hear me now. Let's see if you guys can hear me now. If you can hear me, say something. I mean, okay, so you can hear me now. Okay, good. Good. So I'll try not to touch the table to have the mic go in and out. So that's okay. How about I move this over instead? Okay, there we go. Actually, this mic has been kind of bad for a while, but it's gotten worse. And no, I'm not planning, because we're going to be doing actually a fundraiser for a diaper run at the Long Beach chapter. So that's actually the next fundraiser for the Long Beach chapter. You already see JB's doing a fundraiser, and you already see Sabby did a fundraiser a few weeks back for her chapter barbecue in Boston. And then Nick did one almost 2 weeks ago. It's still running, where he's raising money to buy school supplies, $700 of school supplies. JB is also running a fundraiser. I can't remember what it's for, but he's running a fundraiser. So no, this is not going to be our next fundraiser regardless. I'm just going to prop the mic up and hopefully you guys tell me in the comments when it goes out. But that is something I discovered yesterday. So now that we got all of that out of the way, now we can get back to the stories. And I'll kind of repeat a little bit what I was saying in the beginning, just in case the mic went out at a point, and I'm just going to have the comments up the entire time and then flip when I have to go somewhere else. All right, so let's get back to the story. So reason I start with these clips, and it looks like everybody can hear me. Okay. A reason why I start with these clips is that to give you something to watch. That's what I was saying at the last when I noticed I was no sound. But it gives you something to watch instead of a regular. Oh, wow. Hold on a second, guys. I'm hearing something in my mic here. I may have to just go to the computer sound. 1 second. Let me just look at this here. It happens when I click on the timer. Let me click on the timer again. Okay. All right. So I think we're good now. I think we're good now. So my mic goes in and out, but I think I'm good now. And I'll let me know if I go out. All right, so back to the story. Yeah, so I play these clips so that you guys don't have to sit through the ticking, although there might be some times where we do that, where we do use a little countdown thing, because what I notice a lot of the people in the audience is like, they do like to kind of congregate and get the comments going before the actual show starts. So that's always great. So I'm trying to do that every time, and just to get some unique clips maybe you haven't seen. Sometimes they'll be on topic, sometimes they won't be on topic. There's no real sort of criteria for it. All right, so let's do a chat check. I haven't done that in a while, so let's do a chat check before we get started. That's the first comment I see. CJ, please do me a favor and get David Pakman off the screen. So the reason so now I can go over the reason why I picked the particular clips that I did pick. The Jimmy Dore clip, I mean, it's just the stuff that he's talking about is always good to have a refresher. And then, of course, the two clips about the Donald Trump indictment, aka the mugshot, and just wanted to show what the NATO left, how their reaction is for what's going on before we get into stories that are similar to talk about, because we will be not necessarily talking about the indictment, but of course the mugshot madness we will be talking about. So yeah. All right, so what's the other thing I wanted to do here? All right, so sounds good. I think I should be okay. My mic is a boot. funny comments. Today's a little bit more relaxed. The pace of my shows are usually real quick, real fast, especially Nick and I. We've over the year, I think we've already done a year of doing our show, or it's coming up on a year. We've developed a cadence, a very quick pace to our show, and then it carries over to this show. But today I am in a more laxed mood. It's a very nice weather-wise day here in SoCal. I don't really have any chores to do this weekend. Nothing major. Wife would be doing some sort of decorating sort of stuff. So I'm feeling good. That's why I'm feeling kind of lax. But anyway, let's do a couple of more comments. So you're in Bakersfield. If you want to shout out your city, please do, city and state. Or if you're in another country, you can shout out your country. I'll shout that out. Love all of you too. Ooh, voice sound like it was changing. I like all the RBN bumper music. Sometimes if I ever do a show, which I'm thinking about doing a relationship show with my wife, giving relationship advice, I think I'm gonna use this sound as the background music. Kind of have it. Let me play it in the background and put it low. Can you hear it? You turn it up a little bit. So it'll be playing while I'm speaking like this, or while we're having our discussion. But that's not fully developed. This is in pre-production, just the idea, talking about certain things we would talk about, watching some relationship shows. So I don't want anybody to think that's right around the corner. That's really in pre-production. We're in pre-production stage now, so of that idea. But all right, so I've been on a tangent. Let's get to the show now. I just been kind of shooting the shit. All right, so let's throw up the graphic and cover what our topics are today. Of course, the mugshot, the infamous mugshot we will be talking about, and that is the mugshot of Donald Trump. That's Donald Trump on the far right. And then, like I said, this epic rant from Jimmy Dore. I think I'm going to cover that first because it's just a rant, and then I can comment and we can move on. It'll be a short segment. Epic rant from Jimmy Dore again, talking about all types of things that's coming from the ruling imperialist capitalist class. And then there's a couple of things, a couple of stories on Joe Rogan. One, is a clip of him talking about how the U.S. intelligence community propagandize us, the Americans or American citizens. And then there's another story of him criticizing mainstream media, CNN in particular, when they're obviously making up something about Vivek, even though we're not endorsing Vivek. We calling out a lie when a lie, call a spade a spade. And so 2 stories with Joe Rogan. And then there's the cringe video of Jamal Bowman that is very cringe about the mugshot. It's kind of related to the mugshot story. So I guess those 2 will be connected. We'll start out with Jimmy Dore and then get to those. And then there's another AOC video. It seems like a lot of her stuff goes viral now because she's putting out a lot of professional class sort of BS. She's completely crossed over to the, I guess we would say not completely, because some say she was always there, but as far as being nakedly for the corrupt Democrats, she's no longer even pretending, to fight the establishment. She is the establishment. And it seems like it's a role that she, in my opinion, sort of looks like she likes, or at least accepts, at least. So those are the stories. Let me see what else. I know there's a lot more here that's not on the thumbnail, but let me also tell you what those will be. So I said the Trump madness, Jimmy Dore, Joe Rogan. Oh, Nikki Haley says 65 is way too low for retirement age. So we're going to be talking about that. She actually was on the original graphic, but got bumped by Jimmy Dore when I saw the video. Talked about, then there's another video with RFK saying he's a Democrat to his core. Isn't that lovely? You guys like that? So we're going to be talking about that. Part of the mugshot story is that Donald Trump makes his first tweet, and it's the mugshot story. And I don't know how many years, but it's gotten, when I checked it a day and a half ago or a day ago, it was at over 1 million and a half or something like that, likes. And then we'll also cover 150 members of the United Autos Workers voted overwhelmingly to authorize a strike. So what we kind of already knew was going to be happening has officially been voted on by the rank and file, and they have overwhelmingly decided to go on strike. So we're going to try to get to all those stories. Like I said, this is a shoot the shit Saturday. This is a shoot the shit Saturday. I like that. I think I'm going to go ahead and give that a name. Shoot the shit Saturdays. Shoot the shit Saturdays. I gotta remember that I'm a bad speller, so let me proofread. Shoot this shit Saturdays. All right, so I think we're gonna go with that for today. Yes, it's straight out of politics, but the subtitle, shoot the shit Saturday. So we're just hanging, everybody. Hit that like button. Let me know you're here. Make some comments. We're just hanging out. Let's get to the first topic here. And yes, I know I have a habit of doing this. My wife tells me this all the time. I get comments all the time. Jay, why you always play with your beard? It's a habit. I'm not necessarily saying I'm trying to get rid of the habit, but it's a habit of mine. I don't know if it's an indication that I am thinking or that I'm trying to look like I'm thinking. Oops. Bookmarks. My bad, everybody. What's going on here? I thought I clicked bookmarks. 1 second, everybody. I think I have to make my browser smaller. There it goes. It's weird. The thing I use the most is the thing that's blocked out when it's at the normal level. But anyway, we go to bookmarks here, and we're gonna start with the Jimmy Dore video. It's very small print. I am gonna get around to a doctor. I got an authorization through insurance. You know, you have an HMO, you gotta get an authorization. So I finally got that. So I got some foot problem too, got to get done. So anyway, I'm giving you too much information because I'm just shooting the shit, like I said. All right, so let's get into this first story, and this is Jimmy Dore with another epic rant. So let's discuss. I'll try to play it as much as I can. There's a lot of good stuff in here I do want to comment on, just to kind of just say double down, triple down on what Jimmy's saying here. But let's listen, and we're calling a segment Jimmy Dore with another epic rant. And this one's on Twitter. Let's go.
They
want to
with
discredit
the kookiest take possible.
Anybody who's asking questions is a crazy, and they're so that like this. Hey, those people who are calling other people crazy, they just don't want you asking questions because it might hurt Joe Biden's reelection campaign.
Sure.
And that's what this is all about. So they want to make anybody who's asking questions is a crazy conspiracy nut. But the people who are saying those people are crazy conspiracy nuts are the biggest conspiracy nuts in the world. There's no crazier conspiracy in my lifetime than Russiagate. Russiagate was a hoax from start to finish.
Is there any other greater conspiracy than Russiagate? And I'm going to type what the other one could be, because I'm not going to say it. Is it Russiagate or this other thing? Tell me what your votes are. Put down what you think it is. He's saying the biggest hoax or conspiracy. These are close. Do you think it's one or the other? However you see the other topic. So you have Russiagate, the other topic. However you see it, whether you think the medicine is the problem or whether you think the actual virus, whatever you think. What do you think it is? Do you think is that, or do you agree with Jimmy? And I'm going to rewind it just for context while we're asking. I'm saying asking is a word that, anyway, that's the time for another time.
That's in the world. There's no crazier conspiracy in my lifetime than Russiagate.
Crazier conspiracy. Now, he's using conspiracy in the way that an actual conspiracy, not the way that the ruling class uses the term conspiracy theory to tamp down actual true information. He's talking about a conspiracy from the government, so something completely different, just to get that clear. But what's your vote? And I'll toss your comments up right now. What do you think is the bigger conspiracy? Look what's scrolling down at the bottom. Pick one or the other. You think? What's your vote on that? Let's see. Here goes one person. So you rank Ashura. I haven't seen Ashura in a long time. What's up? He says Russiagate is first. And then Ukraine war. That's another one. Wow. Actually, perfect that I picked your comment first. So I'm going to actually adjust this here. However you see the conspiracy of the Ukraine war, whatever you think that is, money laundering, weapons manufacturing, whatever you think that is. But great. Thank you, Ashura, for that light bulb moment. Where is your comment at? It's highlighted somewhere. Wow, I got that many more comments afterwards. That's why I had to scroll all the way up. Okay, you say they went together. Russiagate was 16. And interesting. Interesting. Let's see any other. So this person says it's the thing we can't say. Then Iraq WMDs. Wow. Y'all gonna keep having me add more to this scrolling bar here, but that's another good one. Because that was a conspiracy that has already been shown to be a conspiracy. They knew it was no WMDs. Damn. No, I'm not adding anything else. That's it. Okay, so this person says the thing we can't say was a universal conspiracy, meaning international. I think the Ukraine war would fall under that. Does Russiagate fall under international, or is that just the United States? Let me go down. I guess I'm going too high. Let me see anybody else. Anybody else weigh in on the question? What is the more? You say bigger conspiracy, Hillary, or I'm sorry, Hunter's laptop. Iraq war, Libya war, Syria war. I think we can, let's just add war. I know it says Ukraine war scrolling, but let's just say war. Yeah. And we can just insert name of war here. So, you say Russiagate helped lead up to the proxy war. Yeah, the Russiagate and the wars in the Ukraine war, at least, are, yes, directly connected. Absolutely. Because think about the plan. Understand what the plan was. The plan was, if Hillary was supposed to win in 2016, this Ukraine proxy war was supposed to start then. Because think about it. Overthrow the person, 2014, 2015, 2016 election, she's elected. They go in and do what they want to do in Ukraine. All of this was supposed to happen in 2016, 2017. So think about it. Russiagate's happening. Russiagate would have been the storyline to be able to sell the Ukraine war. That was the plan. But the election of Trump, that might be another reason why they hate Trump so much. He messed up the plan. He messed up the plan. Because think about what they do. They use identity politics. They use black faces. What do they also do? They use women. So think about it. A woman saying we're going to war? Well, she is a woman, and women are more reasonable. So if it must be a good reason, was going to use her for that. First woman that was going to take us to nuclear war in preparation for war with China. So their plans just kind of got set back by several years. And it's falling apart. It is absolutely falling apart. The gap between, because Russiagate fell apart. That's why all of these things sort of needed to happen at the same time, because just think if the Ukraine war was sold in 2018, in 2019, after she was in office for several years. So, but anyway, we're getting off a tangent. Let's listen to more with Jimmy. Let's let it play for a while. We only got 30 seconds in.
Russiagate was a hoax from start to finish that was perpetrated by the DNC, the Clinton campaign, and the FBI and the CIA. And Barack Obama knew it was a hoax. They all knew. The head of the FBI knew. And how do I know that? Because there's open testimony in court that said they knew that. The head of the FBI said he briefed Barack Obama. The head of the FBI said he knew that this was a hoax. That's how I know that, but never gets reported in the media, because the media reported Russiagate as fact for 7 straight years. The Durham report comes out. Nobody reads it. Nobody even knows what the Durham report is, again, because it doesn't get reported on corporate television, because the establishment doesn't want you to know that Russiagate was all made up. Because if you knew Russiagate was all made up, then you wouldn't want to be for the Ukraine war, because the Ukraine war is all based on Russiagate, which is.
You see that connection? If we knew Russiagate was a hoax, we wouldn't have. You see how a country, our country, the imperialist empire understands they have to build up a in order to get a consensus, you have to build up an emotional connection to hating whoever you're going to war with. You have to build up this emotional connection, and they're trying to do that now with China. You see the Russia spy balloon. You see the they almost ran into our tankers or something like that in the ocean in the Asia Straits. I can't remember where it was. Where did they say it was? But anyway, you know the story. They have to build up these storylines. So they build up the storyline of Russiagate in order to sell the Ukraine war. But there's a gap that allowed the Ukraine war to dissipate or disappear because it was not true. And then the Ukraine war starting up. I mean, if you take the poll now, the majority of Americans, I think it's slightly over 50%, doesn't think we should be we should stop the funding of this Ukraine war. So to Jimmy's point, and let's let him continue.
Which is why I was against Russiagate from the moment it started. And I told everybody at the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, and every other dumbass.
I wasn't. And I have to admit, because I was one of those that was fooled. And this is before I am my political stance now. Although at the end of Russiagate, right before the Robert Mueller report, that's when I made this discovery on Twitter of the whole family I have on Twitter now and discovered Nick and Rome. And that was the transition. So it was right at the end of Russiagate is when my recent awakening has sort of radicalization, I should say. That's a better word. Has happened. But in the beginning, I was falling for it. There's a spy in the White House. I believed all that shit. I was watching Rachel Maddow all the time, Chris Matthews all the time. So yeah, I believed all of this nonsense. Let's play some more.
Ass over there to stop repeating FBI, CIA talking points because you have Trump derangement syndrome. Because what this is going to do is lead to censorship and a war. And that's exactly what it's led to. And none of those people are apologetic. They don't care that hundreds of thousands of people are being slaughtered in Ukraine and used as cannon fodder in an economic war from NATO and the West against Russia and China. And we are crushing. We did them. Don't you feel like an asshole if you got an electric car, got rid of your gas stove, and then they blow up the Nord Stream pipeline? Those same people telling you to get an electric car and get rid of your gas stove are the people who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, the biggest ecological disaster in history. They did it on purpose because what the NATO and
that's what's called woke imperialism. Telling you to get rid of your gas stove while at the same time causing the greatest ecological disaster ever with the Nord Stream pipeline. That's how conservatives, people who are against this is against wokeism, if that's a thing. They're able to say, you claim to be climate and look what you're doing. The Democrats allow that by the choices they make, by voting for the Ukraine war. So what could Bernie say? What are they going to say? Socialists. What do you mean? Socialists vote for war all the time. Have you seen Bernie Sanders, AOC, and all of the squad? You see what their behavior allows people the opening to do or say about what we hold dear. But anyway, let's continue. Let's try to get through this. There's a lot of good stuff. That's why I knew I was going to stop a lot. We're about a third way through.
in the West has always feared was Germany and Russia coming together. They feared Russia's manpower and Russia's natural resources coming together with Germany's capital and their engineering. And that's why we blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. And that's why we're tanking. We're doing it to Europe. And I don't understand why Europe puts up with it, but it's just maybe if you look at a map of where all the NATO bases are, that'll tell you why U.S. is the hegemon. But we're losing that right now because what Joe Biden and the neocons are doing right now is is way worse than anything that Trump ever did. And they're doing exactly what they said Trump was going to do. He's alienating our friends. He's meaning Joe Biden and his neocon administration is they're creating now economic alliances to thwart the United States. Right, we have BRICS, right, which is Russia, China, South Africa, India, Brazil, and places in Africa are coming together, and they're going to oppose us now economically. Guess what? Saudi Arabia started selling oil in other denominations besides the.
So, this video was done, and our internet might be going in and out, it looks like, but this video was done right in the middle of the news, so he may not know this, but more than just selling oil, Saudi Arabia will be one of the 6 countries that's admitted the new members of BRICS in January, literally 4 months away. Wait. September, October, November, December. Yeah, 4 months away. 4 months away, Saudi Arabia, and I covered this yesterday or whenever, maybe the day before. The days kind of all go together. But I cover it where with the addition of these 6 countries come 2024, January 2024, BRICS are going to control, or BRICS member countries will control 80% of world oil production. 80%. Let's continue.
The US dollar. That is catastrophic for the United States economy. All this stuff they're doing, and they said Donald Trump was going to be the impetus to do this and wreck our economy and get the world to turn against us. It's exactly the opposite. Donald Trump was the one who wanted to take our troops out of the Middle East, which is why they Russiagated him in the first place. And because he said there was a deep state, and he ran on stopping our Middle East wars. He wouldn't bomb Syria. He wouldn't bomb you. He wouldn't send arms and stuff to Ukraine. That's why they impeached him. So that's what this is all about. This is a military-industrial complex. The same people who own the military-industrial complex own Joe Biden, own your corporate media, which is why the American people are the most propagandized people in the world, and they have no idea. The difference between the United States being a citizen being propagandized and someone in the former Soviet Union
or
someone in China is they know they're being propagandized. People in America literally think Sean Hannity and Rachel Maddow and Anderson Cooper are telling them the truth. Anderson Cooper gets $12 million a year. $10 million of that comes from Big Pharma. You think that guy ever told you the truth about anything? He's a former CIA man, Anderson Cooper. But
this nonstop, taking no breaths, going from one topic, from a critique of a war to critique of the Nord Stream pipeline to critique of media. like I said, there's so much in this rant, and it's epic. Let's continue, and we'll comment. I'll let it play a little more. We're 2/3 away through, and we got about a third left.
Literally, people think when they open the New York Times.
CIA?
Yes, he was.
What did he do?
So I don't know what he did. He's in the CIA. But
jerk off patrol.
Boys Cast. Now you got, maybe if you know who that. I've never heard of these guys. I don't recognize them. Never heard of the podcast, but it's called Boys Cast. Is that a political show, or is this just a whatever show? They talk about a bunch of different things. Does anybody know this podcast? I'll put your comments up if you do. Yeah. True, Anderson Cooper. All right, so let's play. I don't see any answers to that question, which is okay. So let's play.
Yeah.
So probably Operation Mockingbird. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah,
It's not over, by the way. So the news media, they used to have to infiltrate with CIA people. Now they bring the head of the CIA right on their news show and ask him questions like he's a reliable source.
Sure.
What you're supposed to do is bring someone on to tell you what lies the CIA guy just told. But that's not what they do anymore. They bring the CIA guy
like he's on a press
because
tour.
of Trump.
Yeah.
Because of Trump. And these are all good people, and Trump's the bad person. And so they have to make Trump out to be a 30-foot tall Hitler in order for you to vote for a guy who's an enemy of the people who.
That's also the strategy of Vladimir Putin. That was the strategy of Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden. It's this. That's a ruling class strategy, is to make you out to be a evil, like cartoon character villain. You know, and that's why because they want to be able to just attach. Wait, you side with Putin? You don't need to even know what the subject is. Siding with Putin is the problem. So, and that's what they do. But anyway, let's play some more. It's almost done. About a minute left.
Who promised to veto health care in the middle of the pandemic and just crushed the workers' union and the railroad strike. That's real fascism. And that's what the Democrats are all pushing. Every asshole in Hollywood is for it. They don't think for themselves, and they shame you if you try to think for yourselves. You saw that bit I had about people don't do your own research. Before COVID, doing your own research just meant reading. And that's how fucking stupid asshole comedians are in Hollywood, that they're literally shaming people for trying to get informed. You're supposed to do the other thing. You're supposed to shame people for not getting informed and following fucking rules without questioning. Mm-hmm. That's the opposite of comedy. And every asshole who has a fucking podcast or a goddamn comedy special that I saw in the last 3 years said that shit, told people to not look into it, trust big pharma and trust government. It's the exact opposite of being a comedian. And if you're doing that, you're not a comedian. True. You're a fucking propagandist.
Yeah, well said.
That's true. And I also feel that way about country music. And Nick has brought up this point. There was a certain point, maybe in the late 80s, early 80s, where country music switched from being anti-establishment, because if you listen to old country music, it's very anti-establishment. Listen to new country music, it's very pop. So it's completely different. And the same, in the same, just using it as an analogy to Jimmy. But Jimmy was on fire there. Very on fire. I don't know what's going on with the Elwood. Is it Elwood? Elwood beef. I don't know his content well enough to even know what's going on there. Although I did play a clip, I think it was last week. I was just going through my feed and I was, online on the stream, just at the end, after like reading super chats, and I was just looking through my feed and I saw the clip and I played it. But anyway, that rant was just another classic Jimmy rant, and I wanted to cover it because he covered so many different things that it makes it important that when somebody who has a mic, people listen. For example, like a Joe Rogan. So it's important, like when we get to the Joe Rogan segment, maybe we'll play that next. Yeah, we'll do Joe Rogan next. Is important, and Tucker falls into this. Even if I don't like Tucker, and I think a bunch of things about Tucker and Joe Rogan, I don't necessarily agree. I disagree with him on a lot of stuff. His takes is important, and Jimmy Dore falls in this category. It's important that people who have huge mics, meaning when they speak, a lot of people talk. It's important that, and that's why I think people like Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson. This part applies to Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan and not Jimmy Dore. But this is the reason why people give Joe Rogan a pass on other stuff. Not a pass meaning the other stuff they disagree. They just say whatever. They just go, I disagree on that stuff, but on this stuff I agree. They don't just throw them away. Basically, it's because they say good stuff sometimes. And Tucker, same thing. Some of his things about what corporations are doing and with the Ukraine war, all that stuff, the police state, the security state. So that stuff is good, but then there's other stuff that's bad. So, but anyway, let's move to the next topic. We're at 300 likes and we've had well over 500 people. So let's see if we can bump those likes to 500 as I switch this up. I used to announce the likes like that, and then I just start going to having it scroll at the bottom, but since I'm moving a little bit slower today, I'll do announcements. We're at about 300 likes, and we want to get to 500. We've had well over 500 people dip in and out of this stream, to be exact. So well enough people to hit that like button. Hit that like button. Get us to 500 likes. All right. So where is the Joe Rogan? Okay, Joe Rogan. I think I have a tab for him on my bookmarks. So let's move to the Joe Rogan rigged election. Is what I call it. But this is him talking about the surveillance state. And this is the video here we're going to be covering now. So we go from Jimmy to Joe. And there's another person I know you guys know. I'm sure you guys know. I think I've heard his name before, but I'm assuming he's a more popular sort of figure, so you probably know he is. Dave Smith, the guy that's in this video with him. So we're going to be covering this next segment is the Joe Rogan segment. But before we get to that, I do want to read. Let me see what I got. I got 3 super chats. Actually, one of the super chats is a new member. So Natalie Williams, welcome, new member Natalie Williams to our RBN YouTube family, which is part of our bigger family, and you're part of both. Thank you, Natalie Williams. And a Biden 71, always showing love to all of the radical left channels. I see him in the chat all the time. Thank you. And one of our new members, Eric, who's been new for maybe a week or so, with a comment. I wonder if China offered BRICS membership to Saudi and Iran for a peace deal. Eric over here asking some very great, good questions. I approve in U.S. imperialism, so maybe we can have good things. Thank you for those super chats. And now we will get into this Joe Rogan story. And this is Joe Rogan talks about how intelligence agencies propagandize us. And it's around, it's based around them censoring us around Hunter Biden. So let's listen. We'll stop and start this analogy. And I think his name is Dave Smith. I love this analogy because it's a perfect analogy for the situation that he's applying it to. Is that Trump is saying this election was rigged or the election was rigged in 2020. The election, that election in 2020 was rigged. Now, we could make it an argument that these elections are from the voters' point of view, from the workers' point of view, these elections are rigged. Every time they have them, they're rigged. Is it not? So that rings true for us. So to his point, is like, yeah, Trump, yeah, maybe 2020. You guys didn't rig it against Trump. You definitely rigged it against the people, but you didn't rig it against Trump. But are you trying to say these elections are on the up and up? Are you trying to say that these elections aren't fishy? Are you trying to say that these elections aren't rigged as a whole? Maybe you didn't rig it in 2020. So that's the point. It's like, you know, the cheating example is like, yeah, you know, if you're cheating, if your wife accuses you of cheating and she says you went out last Saturday and was cheating with so-and-so, but you wasn't cheating that specific day, but you have been cheating, that doesn't take away the whole idea of you doing that. So I love it. Like the analogy. Let's continue. I'll rewind it just a little bit so you can hear the tail. Think about that. That's a good pickup. Like, think about what the entire government, the whole media apparatus was projecting. Russia, this is an act of war. You're doing it, when none of that was true. What does that say about people who would say that? Like, is that the behavior of a bully, or is that the behavior of a freedom-loving, peace-loving person or country? Or is that the act of a bully? Great things that this guy Dave Smith picking up here. Joe, I know you're pontificate, but I'm not answering you directly, but it's not crazy because the people who propagate, people who put this on, the people who put this out there, projected this, they're owned by the same people. The same people who are donating to politicians are the same people who want these narratives sold, are the same people who owns, or at least are the advertisers on these networks, these news networks, cable news networks. So it's all a very incestuous sort of process. And but let's continue. Great clip. So like I said, a person, I mean, if what I said earlier about it matters that certain people with large mics say certain things, it matters that Joe Rogan says these types of things, because he has the largest amount of ears that's listening to his channel. So it's very important that that's the case. But yeah, all right. So let me look at a couple of your comments on this topic, and then we're gonna move on to the next topic here in just a little bit. And let's see. I like to go with the flow of things. I think we should get into the Trump Mugshot madness and the Jamal Bowman, because they're connected. So those are the two stories we're going to do next. But before we get to that, let's get to some comments on this topic. So here's a good one here. I believe I read the first sentence. This says, Scott the whole world. Scott the whole world. Yes. Intelligence officials get paid. Man, sorry, a bunch of comments came in and it pushed it up. Intelligence officials get paid through the constant funding of the military-industrial complex. That's why they back the whole Russia lies. Let me read that again. This is a good comment. Intelligence officials get paid through the constant funding of the military-industrial complex. That's why they back the whole Russia lies. Great comment there. Let's look through for any other comments here. Let's see this one. 2016 saw the implementation of the internet cross-check voting system. Wow, a bunch of comments just came in. Hang on a second here. Scroll back up. Joe was trying to be a good friend to him. Funny. Referring to Bernie Sanders, good friend. Well, thank you. Sub to RB years ago. Okay, so I think that's enough, y'all. All right, so let's get to the next story. No news, super chats. Let's bring up the next story. Hope you're enjoying Shoot the Shit Saturday. So Aaron, if you're watching this, if you can make a graphic, sort of a generic graphic that I can use as the show graphic of the new show called Shoot the Shit Saturdays. That's anytime I do some Saturdays. I don't do Saturdays a lot, so I think that's a good name of what we do. So we're at 388 likes. 388 likes, everybody. We're trying to get to 500, and so that's 88 more since the last time we did a check-in. So absolutely thank you for those that added those on. But we still got a little ways to go to get to 500 likes. 500 likes. And now let's back out of here. Actually, there's a couple of more things here. I'm not quite done with this segment, actually. There's a couple of more reactions I do want to get on here. So let me actually backtrack. And let's start with Glenn Greenwald. I just remembered I wanted to get these tweets in here. So not quite done with the Joe Rogan segment. Let's get Glenn. Now, has Glenn been on Joe Rogan? If he has, I haven't seen it. I'm sure maybe he has, and I just haven't seen it. So here's Glenn Greenwald on the very video we just covered. That CIA invented an flagrant lie right before the 2020 election to protect Biden. Reporting from Hunter's laptop was Russian disinformation, was a monumental abuse of power and election interference. Corporate media can't acknowledge it because they played the key role, and that's to the point that I was making also. They're all in it. And we're going to get to this part here. What does this say here? Why do I have this here? Just insane. They haven't done a damn thing to make our lives better. They never will, because their party serves corporations. So all Democrats have left is gaslighting. What we have left is the ability to walk away and fight for something better. And this is talking about just trying to act like Joe Biden. And the reason I put this under rigged elections is that Joe Rogan is talking about rigged elections and how they do it. Here's more proof of sort of rigged elections, propaganda. Look at this. Bernie Sanders wins 18 delegates. Hillary Clinton gets 11 and Bernie gets 7. Does that look like democracy to you? So to Joe Rogan's point about propaganda, let's pull up this other one here. So let's listen to this quick little video, though, that I had it here for a reason, so I do want to play it, that we can close out this section here. Let's listen. This is Jamie, I forget his name. But anyway, he's the DNC chair.
I don't take much credence in terms of polls, because in the end of the day, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris are going all across this country. Democrats are
Jamie Harrison
going across the country to talk about how this administration, which is probably one of the most successful since Lyndon Baines Johnson, has done so much to improve and put America back on track. We are going to make sure that that message gets out to the American people. I don't take much credence.
Now, we all know that's preposterous. But anyway, so let's cut it there, and we'll get to the next topic here. And that next topic is we're going to start with Trump mugshots, and then we're going to swing down here to Jamal Bowman. But let's start with the Trump mugshot. And there's a lot. And this is Trump mugshot madness. And I call it that because you would think this mugshot was like the smoking gun of him doing something. I don't get it. But we're gonna go through a bunch of receipts here for this segment here, and let's wait for it to change, and we'll start here. Aaron, we're calling this segment Trump mugshot madness, and we'll be seeing a little bit on both sides. The liberal nonsense when we get to Jamal Bowman, he's kind of the epitome of the liberal nonsense side. Then also the conservative or the Trump supporter side, that they're taking their own mugshots and they're calling it MAGA mugshots. So it's a lot of crazy shit going on. I wish I could bring up my, what is that called? TikTok, because TikTok has really got a bunch of nonsense, not nonsense, but crazy funny videos. So let's start here. And we're starting with this. This is Trump returns to Twitter. And I'll type that up. So Trump returns to Twitter. Because this is the only tweet that I mean, I haven't checked the account since now, but that's the real Donald Trump. This is his account. Let's go to his page. I still believe this is the only one. So August 24th. Yep. It's at 1.6 million now. Can you see that? Oh, blow it up a little bit. It's at 1.6 million now. Just insane. But this is the mugshot. This is the mugshot that's getting everybody's panties in a bunch, and I think it's bigger when I do it this way. This is the mugshot that's getting everybody's panty in a bunch on both sides. And it you know he practiced this. You know he, what Trump understands is media. And you know he planned this. I hear they're selling shirts. I hear they're selling mugs. I think one of the news clips we're going to play talks about it. But it says, let me read it from the beginning. At the top it says donaldjtrump.com, and then it has mugshot August 24th, 2023. And then it says election interference, never surrender, donaldjtrump.com. So that's the thing. I mean, this is so PMC from the Democrats' point of view. Like, you're waiting for a mugshot. This is a win. You're dancing because of a mugshot, a picture. So if he gets off, what does the mugshot mean? What value does the mugshot mean? And I'll read Ryan's tweet. Ryan says, hey, let me see if I'm on. Now I'm all jittery about being on mute. Ryan says he's back. Democrats are going to lose their mind and spend never-ending amounts of fear to get you to vote for their corrupt corporate party. Keep calm and vote for Cornel West. Let me see if that's the first one. Now let's go to, I'll put this here somewhere. Let's read what Nick says. The goal of liberal establishments is to make a small percentage of Trump supporters to do something radically violent so they can justify a further increase of the police state, just like January 6th. That's why they are so obsessed with jailing Trump while letting criminals like George Bush walk free. So now I remember why I wanted to put that there. So I saw that comment from Nick. Let's go to this clip, continuing with the Trump sort of mugshot madness. Look at this clip somebody put together.
I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all.
This is what he said when he got out of being booked, out of the mugshot. He came out and made this statement. And this is what this clip somebody put together.
I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all. And we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think it's very dishonest. So thank you all very much, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you very much.
So when you
let me turn the sound off because it sounds like something that might catch the ear of YouTube. So let me turn the sound off right there and play it some more. But look what Superman is doing. I guess he's reversing time. Somebody made a video of Superman reversing time to what? To get Trump off before the charges? We're going to see. You see how everything is going rewinding in time. And I'm going to bring back the sound in just a second and see and hear where we're at here.
And we will make America great again. God bless you. I love you.
Man, you talk about a guy taking whatever they throw at him and turning that shit around on them. Taking your indictment to sell mugs and t-shirts, taking your indictment to raise money. Like he's doing them better than they do themselves. He's doing politicians better than they do themselves. We're going to get to that soon. Like I said, there's a lot to cover, and we're barely down here in my Trump and that's Kit from Heartlands Media saying this is funny. That's where I saw that from. We read that one. Here is Jamal Bowman. Should the Trump mugshot be his official presidential portrait? This is them being giddy. This is Jamal Bowman. That's why all your money you donate him to. This is the production you get. Jamal Bowman. Let's see what else we got here. This one, do dissidents just shouting out return of the king? They're talking about Trump returning to Twitter. Now, let's see this picture here. Let's read this. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I didn't even go to her page. And then we'll get to what Jamal Bowman says of it. This is the photo that will win the 2024 presidential election. The American people will not stand for communism. What the hell? What does communism have to do with this? This is why so many people don't understand. They just throw communism and go, well, communism must mean this. They have no idea what communism means. But I do agree with this first part, or semi-agree. This photo could be the thing that catapults him right back into office. All of these indictments could be that thing. Now let's go back to the quote tweet of Jamal Bowman of this, and it says, Rep. Green, with all due respect, you need to take a high school civics class. Law and order is not communism. Justice is not communism. The downfall of the leader of an insurrection is not communism. But you know what is practically textbook definition of communism? Taking $183,504 in PPP loans from the government during a global pandemic that you said was a hoax, and then never paying it back. He's saying that's communism. So Jamal Bowman, the guy who is affiliated with the DMC, the DSA, you know, the socialists, is out here spreading lies about communism. There we go. Let me throw that up there. I can't believe this. So he didn't go, these things are communism. That's not communism. Communism is actually this. This other thing is corruption. He's actually saying corruption of PPP loans is an example of communism. DSA, this is a socialist spreading lies about communism. Just can't believe it. Let's continue. You are a disgrace to the office you hold and to everyone you represent. Stop spewing lies. Do your damn job instead of stealing from the American public. If you can't do that, resign. This is what red meat. Like, this guy is just a joke, man. Let's move on from this joke. Now, let's get to MAGA mugshots. Here is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says, I stand with President Trump against the commie DA. Why is communism keeps getting... Why do you keep injecting communism here? I stand with President Trump against the commie DA, Fani Willis, who is nothing more than a political hitman, or hit woman, I would say, tasked with taking out Biden's top political opponent. Persecution, not prosecution. MAGA mugshot. And they passed a law in Georgia. She's likely going to get taken off that case. The law goes into effect October 1st. The trial, Fani wants to start the trial in October, late October. She'll be removed before then. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene's mugshot. She's like, oh, yeah, I want to try to embarrass him. Now we're all are proudly taking. You see, this is genius. Whatever you say about Donald Trump, this team, these are genius. This is shit black people would do. Like black, like in the sense that we take, you use the N-word, we flip that shit into something good. We flip things in this sort of way. And I have a video where a person is speaking. Is it on? Shoot, it's on TikTok. There's a video where there's a black guy breaking this down, this point I'm making, how like what they're doing to Trump is almost making some black people who obviously aren't politically in tune, who are just looking at headlines, are making Donald Trump more appealing. Because like black people have no problem, and other people of color, brown people of color too, have no problem with ex-felons, current felons. People in our family are going through the court system. So it was this video I saw of this black person making this point on TikTok. I'll see if I can find it to play it. But it was an interesting point that I was just trying to piggyback on there. Let's get to the next video. So that's Marjorie Taylor Greene, MAGA mugshot. Here is Turncoat D. Now, you know Turncoat Don always come with the funny clips. Let's look and see what he cooked up for this Turncoat Don.
We now have the first mugshot ever taken of a former president of the United States. Here is Donald Trump's mugshot, which will instantly become the most famous mugshot in the history of photography.
Man, that song. Hold on. Let me pause. Let me turn the sound off. You see, that's Donald Trump's face. Is obviously a take on a rock video. That's Donald Trump's face.
And I approve this message.
We now have the
Turncoat Don with the classics. I couldn't play all of the sound. Let's go to this one. Share yours. It says this is another person. This is Brandon Skaka taking their MAGA mugshots. I'm just going to show you a couple of them real quick here. Now, this is the Lincoln Project. This is not the truth. This has been altered. This is not a crowd of people cheering to that. This is the reaction from something else, and they just edited the video of the mugshot in. But this is the pettiness of the professional managerial class. What does this do? The mugshot. But in their circles, this means something. Even if it gets off, look at you. Icky, you were down there with the peasants taking mugshots. So icky. To somebody in upper, ruling class, this might be something. So to them, the Lincoln Project, this is something in their circles in the Hampton as they're drinking their wine.
To show it to an audience now. This is just a striking image, too.
So petty, so ridiculous. Like, what are you getting out of this, Lincoln Project? Like, what are you getting from this? Like, nothing tangible, but they don't care about anything like that. Okay, so no, here it is. There's the black guy I was telling you about. So I'll play that for you, but I do want to go in order. Here. So actually, no, I'm going to the black guy. I didn't realize I had so much. There's a lot of good stuff that's interesting. So let me go. I thought it is from TikTok, but I do have it here. So let's listen to this guy. Now, this might be a Trumper, but listen to how he explains how they're making Donald Trump quite possibly more appealing to some segments of the black community.
Yes, you better believe it. Look what happened to Martha Stewart. She caught that felony. She goes to all the cookouts with Snoop Dogg. She is endorsed. She crippin'. Bruh, Trump is a brother now. I'm sorry. You go to jail in Zone 6 Atlanta, you a brother. Straight up. They fucked up. Niggas like niggas that went to jail. They believe in that shit. This is good. We believe in that shit. We trust that. I'm sorry. You can say what you want, but they fuck with people that went to jail. They fucks with people that been in the penitentiary. They fucks with people like that. It is what it is. We'll see.
It's an interesting point. I can't completely discredit that because the police state goes after black people. So many of our family members are wrapped up in the system. So it's enormous. Like, yeah, they're saying you this, but we know you're not this. So it's a normal sort of thing. But to that point, so that's what I was alluding to earlier about that comment. All right, so this is where I was at. I'm trying to stay in order. Oh, here's the Lincoln Project. So this is what the community knows for the Lincoln Project. It says this video is digitally manipulated. The original video depicts fans celebrating England's 2-1 victory against Wales in the 2016 UEFA European Football Championship. So yeah, the video is altered, and I mentioned that. Here is, I don't know, he's a rocker, right? I forget his name, but I think that's a rocker. I don't know if he put it out himself because this is not his Twitter account, but somebody made one of him. Here's a headline: Trump using mugshot to fundraise on Truth Social. That's a rawstory.com. Maybe we'll get to it. This one, Mistress Malevolent. Is that how you say it? But she has a different MAGA mug shot. She has a mug in there, and she posted that. Let's keep going. I'm going to get to that video. I do want to get to a couple of more pictures. Here's another one that's put up next to MAGA mugshot. Then you got John Cusack. Is this not a total sign of a liberal? He posts this, tweeted this: Trump mugshot doesn't make front page news. So he's mad at the New York Times that Trump's mugshot didn't make the front page. This is John Cusack, just another shit lib, celebrity shit lib. There's a ton of those. All right, now here's another play on a movie. They put Trump's face on it on some different characters. So let's watch this. This is another one, and we'll go back to the other video. Let's watch this here. Yeah. Retribution. It said retribution on there. Did you see that? Like, revenge is coming for all of this you guys are putting me through here. All right, so now let's go back to this other video that was right here. So, all right, so this is a minute-long video. CNN having a meltdown. Let's watch. Let's watch this here. The headline on CNN says 45th president becomes first ever with mugshot.
In terms of how iconic that photo is, we now have his supporters in Georgia photoshopping themselves into mugshots, Fulton
I
County
showed you that
mugshots,
already,
putting those
yeah.
on Twitter and calling them MAGA mugshots and saying that now it's on. So he has galvanized his supporters even further. That's going to be a huge problem if he makes it to a general campaign. But so far right now, his base is sticking with him more than they ever have.
We can put one of those up. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she tweeted out a Photoshop mugshot with the hashtag MAGA mugshot. Jeremy, you've been shaking your head as that was described. What are you thinking?
It's deplorable. It's a mockery of justice. It shows
Horrible.
the insanity, or for lack of a better term, of people who are so lost in their obsession with Donald Trump and this theory that the election was stolen. And I saying pathetic is not strong enough. It's just really sad.
In terms of how iconic that photo is, we now have his supporters in Georgia
So let's pause
photoshopping
that
themselves.
there. And now we're going to be moving towards Jamal Bowman because we're going to be getting to his video on Trump madness, but we're kind of shifting to him being absolutely dragged for this. And you see here Carrie Lake shouting out the picture. This is galvanizing. We will never surrender, Trump 2024. And my mugshot from January 6th. So this is a January 6th guy. And he got his mugshot next to Trump. Let's continue. Like I said, there is a lot here. Oh, and that's just me pointing it out. A sign, a true sign of I should have said a sign of a true shitlib Democratic shield being upset that a freaking mugshot isn't front page. John Cusack is an unbearable blue MAGA shitlib. And there you go. And I played you that video there. Somebody had the audacity to do this, though. But it says the 6 most badass mugshots of all time. And this is what they have. They have Blue Eyes, Frank Sinatra, MLK or Martin Luther King. I think that's Johnny Cash. I don't know who that person is there. And then that's Rosa Parks. Alcatraz, so that must be somebody maybe somebody in the mafia or something. But I can't tell from here. I can't see it. So, but that's what it said there. And then this one says wanted for president. You see that? I don't know who this is, but this person said, this says T. Taylor says, I stand. Oh, it does tell me who she is. Let me see. Oh, nobody major, just her. I stand with President Donald J. Trump. Next one, this is another January 6th person who put their own mugshot. My January 6th MAGA mugshot, DOJ and FBI framed me to be a cop killer for 2 years, all just to quietly drop the 10 felonies and force me into a plea deal because of an unfair DC trial system. They knew I was completely innocent, now being sued for $10 million. This article says, opinion from Washington Post, the time to stop Trump nomination is now. Is another article here. A threat to U.S. security, experts disturbed by Trump's stoking hatred over this. Here's another one somebody did. Photoshopped him here. All right, so now, and last two. Now let's get to the Jamal Bowman part of this. So he was so giddy about this. So let's go all the way down to his video. We'll start there. We got some other receipts here, but pretty ridiculous. I mean, this guy is just he's such a lame ass, just a fucking lame ass. So this next segment is Jamal Bowman, and I mean, he gets dragged. So if you like seeing the fake, NATO left, pseudo left get dragged because of their hypocrisy, because of their for the lack of a better word, bullshittery. Is that a word I can use? Yeah, bullshittery. Let's get into this with Jamal Bowman. So Jamal Bowman's cringe response to Trump mugshot. I have to sound it out. Jamal Bowman's cringe response to Trump mugshot. All right, so we're gonna start here in Aaron. Aaron, we're gonna call this segment Jamal Bowman's cringe response to Trump mugshot. All right, so let's listen. It's about 40 seconds.
We got you. We got you. And more to come.
Who is we? Does that not sound like democratic fascism? Does that not sound like jailing your opponent? What does this mean? Jamal? I just don't. This is what y'all who voted for him in his district. This is what y'all voted for? This guy? We got you.
We got you. We got you. And more to come. Clown, thug, crook, criminal.
Then he has to drag out his laugh so it seems longer than it really is. It was so deflated at the end, but he wanted to draw it out to show that he's really happy. We're gonna play it again and then analyze this. But let's see what some of your initial reactions are after seeing this video. That's the same reaction, Bad Cookies, that I got, is that this is a completely fake laugh. It's such a fake laugh. Let me put that comment up. Where is it? Yeah, such a fake laugh. Right. He's acting like us. Like, I thought he was a politician. He's acting like a YouTuber. Yeah. Like what? Yeah. Like, this is the thing. Like, they just saying the charges being here because it's like we have to take into account what is he really meaning. It's like the reason they're celebrating this is because it's like finally. Because you take this all the way back to Russiagate. When Mueller investigation, everybody was waiting for charges, no charges ever came. They're waiting, impeachment, no impeachment ever came. Another impeachment, no impeachment ever came. So you've been telling us for years you're going to charge him. So it's finally here. So it's like, yay! Just the charging is enough. Because what if he gets off? What is all of this sort of celebrating that Jamal Bowman is doing? What does it do, Jamal Bowman, if he gets off? Somebody should make a meme of this. Take this part where he's laughing and then put it up against an article that's saying Joe Biden sends more money to Ukraine, or he's laughing. Show him laughing at shit that he's supporting, like supporting the Iron Dome, like supporting Ukraine war, like supporting a president who's increased funding to ICE. Like, if somebody has the editing skills to put him laughing behind some of the terrible things that he supports, like, you know, some of the videos you see of him, of what's happening in Israel, show him laughing, because he is laughing at those people in not Israel, in Palestine, and what's happening to them in Gaza Strip, for example, because he's voting for that funding.
We got you. We got you. And more to come. Clown, thug, crook, criminal.
That's a fake laugh. See, this is where the laugh is done. But he has to pretend like this. Oh, this is real deflated. That's real deflated at the end. So let's go to some reaction. It didn't go well for him. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that liked it. 14,000 likes, 500 quote tweets, and he puts up this too. Oh, he wants to fundraise. These slimy, disgusting politicians. Let's start here. Here is Auntie Margaret from the Black Agenda Report, also from Black Alliance for Peace. She says, Congressman, Black people in New York City have a 12% unemployment rate. Do you have any plans to address this pressing issue? Or are you just going to continue to laugh at a mugshot? So, and then there's a bunch of other ones, but I have some saved. Let's go to those. This, oh, let me scroll all the way down to the bottom here. Oh, that's him putting that out. Post Duopolis says, our country is ran by children, especially the so-called progressives. The clown is actually trying to fundraise off of this. Vote this DNC shield out. You're fundraising off of this. Here goes Eddie from the Midwest Marx Institute. This is what progressives are doing instead of fighting for health care. Yes, Eddie. Here's Margaret again. And this is the extent of political action from the squad. That is spot on, Margaret. This is the extent of their political participation for us. This is Mark Hamill. I think that's the guy, Luke Skywalker. Yeah, that's him. Luke Skywalker. Yes, that's him. And this is Russell from our show, the Post-Duopoly show. Russell from Do Dissidents. I think we all have Luke the pass. We don't give Sulu because we feel like he suffers enough in the sequel trilogy, but all these libs joyfully gloating about the mugshot, even though Trump's numbers just keep going up, are some seriously stupid MFers. And I agree with you there, and I read that one earlier. And then, but Margaret caught another picture of him, some more media of him. This is Margaret. Jamal Bowman keeps embarrassing himself. He actually put this up too. 215 pounds, and it's him bench pressing. Is this 90210? It like is this Melrose Place? What is this? What you throwing up pictures of you bench pressing 215 pounds, sir? It's clown shit. Here's friend of the show, Jamal Bowman, crying about Trump after laughing about Trump while giving Trump a platform and asking for donations to meet his hourly goal, trying to defeat Trump. More reaction here. This is the one that we posted on our Twitter community. Let me see how many likes it got so far. It was the one that was gaining the most engagement. You know how on YouTube you can see oops, I don't know what I'm doing here. On YouTube you can see you can see things that we post, like pictures, like polls, like videos on the side in our community tab. Well, we posted this here, and let me read it, and I'll pull it up as I'm reading it. Actually, I have it here. So this particular tweet I'm about to read right now. Okay, yeah, it is leading. It's approaching 200 likes already. So this is from Dom. I don't know how to say that last name, but Dom. But apparently this person is a very popular person. 668,000 followers. Former hip hop executive, but I don't know him. But he says, "Dear Congressman Jamal Bowman, you a whole coon out here. What black man celebrates when another nigga or another N-word, it doesn't matter, I'll say it, get locked up? You laughing at Trump, but silent when Biden locked your cousins up for a weed charge. You the goofiest man in Congress, Jamal." He didn't tag him? Damn it. I wish he tagged him so he can get all of this heat from him. But yeah, this one gets 7,000 likes already. But that's a spot on analysis from Dom. I just can't believe this picture he took of him. We went over a couple of those. I could put this one in this segment too. We went over this in the mugshot segment, but we could put in the Jamal segment where he's calling out Marjorie Taylor Greene, but you know, they use these back and forth. AOC does this too with Marjorie Taylor Greene. They both do this where they're sort of trying to give their base red meat by engaging with the person who has the highest visibility on the other side in this culture war. So that's why they do this. It's to benefit both sides. He also tweeted this, and this is him trying to fundraise, Jamal Bowman. "We need to use this mugshot to raise money against Trump so we can stop the most dangerous uprising in American history." The most dangerous uprising in America. I'm so done with this guy. I'm so done with this guy, Jamal Bowman. And I think I think we're gonna cut it here and move on to AOC's food insecurity. She's getting dragged for this, and this is another thing where we have these professional managerial class DSA types putting out videos, and then it's just not going well for them. So that is the next, but we're going to read some super chats first and then get to that because there's a couple of super chats, new super chats we got. So we're going to read those super chats and then get to the AOC story. Again, this is Shoot the Shit Saturdays, we're just hanging out, nothing major, no time limit. So it's not really, I don't have to get through the stories quick. We're just going to get through them at our own pace, hang out for a segment or two or three or four or the entire show. Come back if you need to. We are at 513 likes. We've had 1,900 people come through here, which is a phenomenal amount of people. So, you know, we have about 600 people currently physically here watching now, but 100 of those people may leave and a different 100 may come, and then 300 people may leave and another 300 may come. So just understand that's how it's working. So we've had a uniquely 1,900 people stop through to watch parts of this stream today. So welcome to those people who came through to watch. And now we're going to be going on AOC's food insecurity. Her food insecurity overlooks Biden. AOC's food insecurity overlooks Biden. But first, like I said, we're going to get to some super chats first, and then we're going to get to that segment. We are at 513 likes the last time I checked, about 10 minutes ago. So we reached our first milestone. We have our total viewership. Total viewership on YouTube, 1,900. So our next goal for likes is 625. There's several hundred of you watching right now who have not hit that like button. So 1,900 unique viewers, so plenty of us to get to that 625 goal of likes. Thank you for those that are hitting that like button. Let's read the super chats, and then we're going to get it back into it. This one right here from Eric, a new member last week. CJ has just proved Dems and mainstream media want Trump to win. Thank you for that super chat. This one from Reka. Bowman and MTG are giving KFAB. They are playing a role. It builds up your own base by engaging with the high profile people on the other side who are high profile in the culture war. And they both dabble in a lot of the culture war. So there's that. Here, I don't think I covered this one here. Here's another one from Eric. When Trump wins, he should mega troll by putting his portrait from previous stint up Oval Office instead of Jackson. Man, imagine if he put his mugshot up. If he got reelected up in the Oval Office, that would be gangster. Lib media would melt down. Absolutely, I agree. Let me see. Oh, I read that one. All right, so we're caught up on the super chats. I hope I don't have the hiccups here. We're caught up on the super chats. We're going to hit that like button. We're trying to get to 625 likes. The new target, 625 likes. Hit that like button. We got several hundred people that are here that haven't hit that like button yet. And now let's get to AOC's. And this is where we're starting, Aaron. AOC's food insecurity overlooks Joe Biden. And let's start with her video. And this is the tweet. She says, food insecurity is rising, but Republicans are trying to cut SNAP in the upcoming farm bill. We must fight to increase access to food stamps, not cut them. So she's trying to be like, red team, red team, red team, red team, red team, right? That was her whole sort of attempt. So let's watch it.
Hey everyone, we're here at Castle Hill Houses at the Community Garden in the Bronx to talk about SNAP, otherwise known as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or otherwise known as food stamps. Right now, food insecurity has been skyrocketing, and during the pandemic, Congress passed legislation to increase SNAP benefits. But those benefits expired in March, and the demand at food pantries has exploded ever since. But rather than address this crisis, Republicans have used the debt ceiling negotiations to actually try to cut SNAP. And now they might want to cut it again when Congress votes on the Farm Bill this fall. This legislation will set SNAP's funding levels for the next 5 years. But we cannot let these cuts happen. According to the U.S. Census, more than 26.5 million Americans say that they sometimes don't have enough to eat. And that's a 12% increase from last year. That is huge. So right now is the time to increase access to healthy foods, not turn our back on the most vulnerable. And we will not stop fighting until we increase SNAP.
Now, on his face, it's not nothing necessarily wrong with advocating for this. Now, compare this video to AOC's sunscreen video. Which one has more effort put into it? Now, does she tell anybody to call their Congress people? Does she do any of that at all? That's the video about SNAP, right? This is part of her job to try to advocate for this, right? Now, let's show you the video of AOC. Oops. Did I spell it right? AOC sunscreen. Now, let's look at this video. This is AOC here. Let's see how much effort.
Sunscreen, specifically U.S. sunscreen, and how to fix it. Hello, everyone. This is Rep AOC, and I'm here with Charlotte Palomino.
I am a brand owner, but also a licensed esthetician. U.S. sunscreen regulations are not necessarily making us more safe or better products.
U.S. sunscreens are far behind the rest of the world. I was in South Korea earlier this year, and it is so clear how far advanced the rest of the world is on sunscreen, and we deserve better here.
Does this video look like it was shot better? Like it was more thought out? Better lighting? She's not, her makeup and her hair is better. So, which one do you think, just based off the production value, she cares more about? Which would you think? Let's continue with this video, and then we'll get back to the other one.
Here in the U.S.
How does the FDA regulate?
FDA is different than the rest of the world in that we regulate sunscreen as a drug instead of a cosmetic. It's regulated as a drug, has far more stringent standards, far more testing, far more scientific and clinical trials that are required, which is good. We want to make sure that things are safe. However, sometimes that can add a lot of bureaucratic and costs that prevent us from getting any sunscreen filters at all.
And just for context, it has been since 1999. It was the last time that we had a new sunscreen filter in the United States.
When we compare the US standards to European standards in 2017, a Sloan Kettering study found that only half of US sunscreens met European protections.
Like, they have editing. They're pulling up receipts. The other one, she's just walking. It feels like the other one is like, I need to throw out a little red meat to show that I am left. And so let me do a couple of these little makeshift, these little quick little videos. See, look, I'm fighting for a good cause. Look, now that's what it feels like to me.
Here's the thing, though. There is something that we can do about this. Congress has not been very...
There's something we can do. Now, she also said in the other video, there's something you can do, or she didn't say something you can do, but she said to do something. Let's compare what she said to do in that video versus this video. And you tell us if that's a good gauge to tell what she's more serious about.
Very aware of this issue, which is why there hasn't been a lot of momentum behind this issue. Truly, it's not too corny. Please contact your member of Congress, especially if your member of Congress sits on the Energy and Commerce Committee, they have jurisdiction over the FDA.
Wow, this is very specific directions. Even having a flickering sort of sign edited into the video to show different Congress people's names. Does that at all resemble her supposed advocacy right here for food insecurity, where she's just roaming the streets, where she's just outside? Now, it's nothing wrong with being in a community garden, but she's obviously trying to give the effect of, I'm really here, guys. But one good thing about the new Twitter is community notes. And is this the one that has the most community notes? I thought I saw one that had more community notes, but I'll read this one what it has here. It says Biden cut. Yeah, they changed it again because it was a lot longer. It says Biden cut SNAP benefits while pandemic was still going on, and it has a link to New York Times. It was a lot more. It was a lot drawn out, more explanation there. But let's read a couple of tweets here. This one's from Paul. Biden kicked 30 million people off of SNAP. AOC, since you didn't know that. Here's another one. This is from Nick, friend of the show, RBN brother. Nick, AOC's been fact-checked by the community notes for being a shameless Democratic propagandist, which is essentially what RBN told you guys the squad was for years and was attacked for it by Bernie Sanders and squad cultists. And like I said, it said a lot more here. Like, it broke it down even more. It must have been edited again for it to even update more. And here is Ryan. AOCIA just got called out by community notes because Biden cut SNAP benefits for 30 million people. What a fraud she turned out to be. And this is why people are calling her out. I wonder if anybody got a picture of the old community notes so you can see that. Here's another one. Post duopoly dirtbag left 1 on Twitter. AOC once again proving she's a full establishment Democrat, leaving out that Biden just recently cut SNAP. She is the absolute worst. And then here's just somebody quote tweeting her with the headline: Biden's program for mass hunger, food stamps being cut back for 42 million. Your party just kicked millions off SNAP and Medicaid. You can go F yourself. I mean, it's the same sentiment. Leading up to this video right here, this is another short video put together by Nico House. I love these short little TikTok style videos. Let's listen.
So AOC put out a tweet saying that food insecurity is on the rise, which is true. In that same tweet, she says Republicans are trying to cut the funding to SNAP despite the food insecurity, implying that we should probably pay a little bit more attention to the cutting of SNAP because Republicans are attacking it. But good old community notes, they said, nah, get over here. The community notes use a New York Times article to quickly remind AOC that Biden actually cut SNAP benefits while a pandemic was still going on. But of course, you won't see the tweet or the video where AOC is calling out Biden for cutting SNAP benefits or the Democrats for going along with it without saying anything about it. But in her attempt to attack the Republicans while pretending that the Democrats are holier than thou, AOC fails to see the irony of her tweet. If food insecurity is on the rise, doesn't that mean Bidenomics isn't working? And if food insecurity is on the rise and Bidenomics isn't working, why did you jump to the opportunity to endorse Biden far earlier than you had to, claiming that his policies have actually been overall beneficial to the American people? Just some advice, maybe try not to shoot yourself in the foot the next time you're doing propaganda for the Democrats. Just saying.
That's Nico House with another great video, and I think we can close it there. Just her being called out. yet again, this has not been a good year, a good thing for her, like at all. We'll get to the Joe Rogan defends Vivek Ramaswamy, but I do want to cover. Wow, we got a lot of great stories. Let's cover this one. This is RFK pronouncing that he is a Democrat through and through. This is RFK Jr. says RFK Jr. says he's a Dem or Democrat to the core. And that is this next segment we're going to be talking about here. Wow. We just happen to have a lot of great topics today. These are some pretty easy topics to talk about. Sometimes I have topics that they're good. I just don't have the easiest time talking about, but not today. Today we have a lot of great topics. So we are sitting at 580 likes. I do appreciate everybody participating and getting the likes up during the live stream. It does make a difference. So don't think that, your individual like. Collectively, it all makes a difference. What did I say we're at? 580. So let me update the scoreboard here. We're at 580. We're getting close to our new target. And I'll scroll that at the bottom. We've had over now 2,000 people who have come in to watch the stream at a certain point. So well enough people have been here. And the goal is 625 likes. We are at 580, so another 45 more. And we will reach our target. And now it's time to get into the next topic here. I need to charge one of my headsets. Going longer than normal. So I need another headset, I guess. Anyway, let's get to our next topic. And our next topic is RFK. Yeah, there we go. So because there's been some people talking about RFK and that, it'd be great if we ran third party and it's an option, the same way that the people that support Marianne Williamson talk about her possibly running as an independent or doing a dirty break and her putting that to rest. Here is RFK, and we're calling this segment RFK says he's a Dem to the core, and here's video, and then we'll get some reaction. Let's blow this up before I hit the play button, or actually let's blow this up after I hit the play button here. And here he is on Fox News. Right here.
Run as a third-party candidate.
Let me stop him before he answers. Let me get the full video here, because I don't know if he says more in the sound, but let's listen to RFK. I stand for traditional liberal values is what the title band or bar says here on Fox News. But let's listen to what he says in answer to the question, why won't you run as an independent or as a third party?
Would you ever consider a run as a third party candidate?
No, I'm a Democrat. I'm a traditional Democrat. And part of my mission here is to summons the Democratic Party back to its traditional ideals. And I'm not surprised that the people who are aligned with the DNC, people who are closely aligned with the White House, are troubled by my candidacy. I'm a threat to President Biden. And, I would love to debate Robert Reich about what he thinks the problem is with me or any other.
Oh, you're a liar, sir. Not buying the whole he wants to debate people no more, because he backed out of the debate with Max Blumenthal, or he has yet to confirm it. They said it on screen. He asked him, Jimmy Dore asked, let me just give you chronologically what happened. Hey, this will be good for you to debate Max Blumenthal. Would you do that? Yeah, sure. I love Max. I would love to talk to him about this. Love to debate him. Said that on camera. Very next day, Max Blumenthal tweets out, oh, RFK's people said there's no way that shit's happening at all. And then about a week later, RFK was at some sort of event and he made reference to doing it. So that's the story. It still hasn't been anything confirmed. So him always saying, I'll talk to anybody. I'll debate now. Yeah, right, sir. You're right. Not buying it. So let's continue.
With the White House are troubled by my candidacy. I'm a threat to President Biden. And, I would love to debate Robert Reich about what he thinks the problem is with me or any other Democrat. I think the reaction to me is oftentimes those who have negative reactions to me are oftentimes reacting to secondhand characterizations of my positions that they're hearing from MSNBC and CNN that are simply not accurate.
Yeah.
When people talk to me in person and hear my ideas and the reasons I'm running, I have a very, very high conversion rate. And I think most people are surprised to find out that, that my positions are pretty much common sense.
Your position on Israel is actually the opposite of common sense. It's the opposite of common sense, Mr. RFK Jr. But you hear it. I heard it. You heard it. He's saying, I'm a Democrat, true, honest. I raise my right hand. I'm a Democrat through and through to my core. So to those people who thought that, he's great, if he was just not a Democrat, those conservatives or those who are saying, no, he's not that tied to the Democratic Party. He's just using him as a vehicle. He really could run. No, he's saying, no. I'm a Democrat. I bleed blue. He supported Hillary. Understand? He will support Joe Biden. Understand? When it gets down to Donald Trump, Cornel West, or Joe Biden, this clown, RFK Jr. will be supporting Joe Biden, just like what's her name? Marianne Williamson will be too. So got another new member. Let me shout Marilyn Kelly. Another new member on YouTube, brand new member on YouTube. Welcome, Megan, to the community on RBN. So let's now get a couple of reactions, and we'll go on to the next story with Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley wants us to work till we damn near die. She don't want us to retire. We'll get to that video in just a second here. Wait, what did it say about editors? Is there editor's notes? No, thought there was some community notes there referenced in the message, but this is Comrade Misty says, but, ha, plant. So she's laughing. Is there any other ones I got? Oh, it's down this way. So this article here, what this says? Oh no, this is something else. I'll go to the quote tweets so we can read these here, get some reaction, good or bad. It might be some good reaction. Let's see if there's some blue team, some blue MAGA people that likes it. Nope. We starting off with, of course, the great Sabby Sabs, and she says RFK says he will not run as a third party candidate. Wah, wah, wah. So that's over, everybody. And let me retweet Sabby's tweet here. While I'm here, and we read Comrade Misty, here's Blue Moon, aka Lucy, the new sheep herder for this garbage, corrupt shithole of a political party, RFK Jr. Here's Greg, louder for the people in the back. Next. Here's another one here. Edward, RFK's poll numbers are cratering with the Democratic primary voters. His theory that he can change the Democratic Party from what it is currently has completely failed. If you still support RFK, stop wasting your time since this is a dead end. He's better off running as an ND or GOP. And oh, I can take this off here. I did take it off. Take it back off. All right, so I think we can end it there with that segment and move on. Nikki Haley wants us to work until death. That's what Nikki Haley wants. So, and I'm going to get to that story next, and we're almost done. Let me just do a topic check and see what have I covered here. Trump, that we got another Joe Rogan story and the strike vote. All right, so 2 more stories after this Nikki Haley story here. There's another video, Joe Rogan defending Vivek Ramaswamy, and that will be next. But right now, we're going to do this segment here. And Aaron, we're calling this Nikki Haley wants us all to work until we die. And let me show you what I mean here. Let's go back to Nikki Haley, Social Security. All right. She put out a video, and I mean, it's just not going. I mean, it's not going well for her. This is just not going well for you. And let's put this up, and then we'll play some reaction. It's about a minute video. She maybe thought she was killing it. I'm assuming she thinks she's killing it. So, this is not good. So let's listen to Nikki Haley and listen how she wants us to work, literally, until we literally just fall out into our grave. She wants us to fall out from our shift directly into our grave. That's what she wants. Here is Nikki Haley.
Well, you know, you've got multiple candidates on that stage that said they wouldn't touch entitlements, including Trump. And any candidate that says they're not going to touch entitlements means that they're basically going to go into office and then leave America bankrupt. Social Security is going to go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare is going to go bankrupt in 8. So the way we deal with it is we don't touch anyone's retirement or anyone who's been promised in, but we go to people like my kids in their 20s when they're coming into the system, and we say the rules have changed. We changed retirement.
You might think, well, wow, well, it's, you know, she sent even her kids, like her kids. What do you mean, her kids? That's part of that's going to have generational wealth. That's not going to use this anyway. What are you talking about? That's why she's willing to supposedly throw her own kids under the bus here. Her kids is not going to be using that. No rich person's kids going to be on this using this Social Security shit. Okay. They have generational wealth. She knows that. That's why she can optically and publicly act like she's throwing her own kid under the bus when she knows that's not the case. Okay? For those that want to give her credit. Saw that
deal
online.
with it is we don't touch anyone's retirement or anyone who's been promised in, but we go to people like my kids in their 20s when they're coming into the system, and we say the rules have changed. We change retirement age to reflect life expectancy. Instead of cost of living increases, we do it based on inflation. We limit the benefits on the wealthy, and we expand Medicare Advantage plans.
What's the right age there then, Ambassador?
Well, I think we have to do the numbers. We've got to figure out what it is. But what we do know is 65 is way too low, and we need to increase that. We need to do it according to
65 is way too low. 65. Like I said, they want you working until you're going to die. What do you mean we need to go by life expectancy? So if the life expectancy is 77, we're supposed to work until 77 and then just die. Didn't I tell you? They want us to go from our shift, die, and fall directly into the grave. That's what they want. But let's listen to that again, this last part.
we do it based on inflation. We limit the benefits on the wealthy, and we expand Medicare Advantage plans.
What's the right age there then, Ambassador?
Well, I think we have to do the numbers. We've got to figure out what it is. But what we do know is 65 is way too low.
Way too low. Not just too low.
That. We need to do it according to life expectancy. Well, you know, you've got multiple candidates on that stage that said they wouldn't.
Not just too low, way too low. It's too many damn 65-year-olds just sitting on their ass when they could be working, according to Nikki Haley. I love this one here. This one's from Monica, friend of the show, friend of the network. Black Bernie Barbie. Look at her meme to this. You raggedy bitch. 2,000 likes. So this is that, I'm pretty sure this is a ratio. Oh no, closer ratio. This has 2,600. This one has 2,000 likes. The one with the younger version of Michael Jackson is saying, "You raggedy bitch." But my sentiments exactly, Monica. Now look at this one. Carl Za, friend of the show, friend of network. He was just on our last summit. He was on a panel with Shama Sawant. At 54, China's average retirement age is too low, according to The Economist. Now, Nick covered this, but China's average retirement age is 54, and she is saying 65 is way too low. Clown shit. And then Auntie Margaret here. First of all, Nimrata, that's her actual name. It's not Nikki. Full retirement is 67. Medicare and Social Security are not going broke. You're a liar. You just want us all to live like dogs. Spot on, Auntie Margaret. Let's see if there's any more good clapbacks here. Wow. There has to be. There's 2,000. Oh, she getting ratio. There's 2,000 quote tweets. This cannot be good for her or her campaign. That's already polling like at 3%. These are these first three. Here's Nina Turner even calls her out. Remember, the life expectancy for Black men in the United States is 68. So shout out Nina Turner and then Glenn Greenwald. So this brings out everybody. Okay? Everybody goes after her. So Aaron, if you're watching this, you can go ahead and put Margaret Kimberly on the graphic, Carl Za on the graphic, Nina Turner on the graphic, Glenn Greenwald on the graphic, all opposite of Nikki Haley because they're all talking about her. So that's a good graphic. Glenn Greenwald says this: Nikki Haley has the same view as the billionaire heir owners of the New York Times. We must continue to send hundreds of billions, if necessary, indefinitely to Kiev or the Ukraine war, but we must also tell Americans that our debt is too high and therefore they must prepare for cuts to Social Security and Medicare. How can both of these be true? How can it be true that we can send 100+ billion to Ukraine, but we don't have enough money for Social Security and Medicare? How are both of those two things true? In other words, if this is your household, how do we have $100,000 to take these trips to Europe and Brazil and Argentina, but we don't have $400 to go get groceries? Huh? Let's continue. Oh, Bree calls it out too. Here's Bree. And what she puts up is the U.S. just lost 26 years worth of progress on life expectancy. That's true. Our life expectancy is going down. Didn't I tell you? They want us to be there. They want us to die from our shift on our job and fall directly 6 feet under into our gravesite. That's what they want. Empire of Lies says, guess what the retirement age is in Ukraine? 60. So the retirement age is in Ukraine is 60. She doesn't want that for us. And guess who's paying the salaries of Ukrainian government workers and their pensions? American taxpayers. So it's okay for us to pay for somebody else in Ukraine to retire earlier than 60, but 60 is way too low for us. And guess who wants to send endless billions to Ukraine? Nikki Haley. Isn't it time for America to look out for Americans? And I think that's enough here as far as the reaction of Nikki Haley. I mean, obviously, this is terrible of Nikki Haley to say anything like this. This is my favorite sort of reaction of her. That's a new one somebody just put up. So there's a couple of new ones some people just put up here. But just completely out of touch. I mean, and you know, all of the PMC class, even like Kyle Kalinske, most of mainstream media are saying Nikki Haley won the debate because of her policies. When we were covering it, Nikki Haley did not even come up as one of the people who won the debate at all. She didn't come up as a close second. She didn't come up at all. All right, so I think we can end it there. And actually, let me see if I have more here on Nikki Haley here. Let's see if we have more on Nikki. And then we're going to get to the final segment, which is Joe Rogan. I'm sorry, final two segment. Joe Rogan defending Vivek, and then the auto workers, which both of these should be pretty low. Nikki Haley. In the past hour, she's been trending. Let's see if there's a reason she's trending. Is it because of the same reason I'm looking her up? It is. It is. She's trending for this nonsense she has here. That's why she's trending. Here's Glenn. Here's Glenn also saying one of the most pro-Democratic Party sites ever to exist, unsurprisingly, cheers Nikki Haley for her spirited defense for Biden's war policies in Ukraine. The pre-Trump hawkish neocon GOP views Haley, Pence, and Christie and Scott have the far more support among Dem voters than Trump. And he's talking about this comment here, how she supports Ukraine. And then we'll end it here on this video. Let's listen to this video that Glenn is referring to.
They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. Right. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP,
how much has been
11 of the European countries have given more than the US. How much has been given to what's really inflation? How much has been given to China and Russia held hands,
veterans that are homeless
before the Olympics and named themselves unlimited partners? A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. He wants to go and stop funding Israel. You don't do that to friends. What you do instead is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense. Putin has said, once Russia takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a pro-American country.
Wow. Neocons. She is none but a neocon. Let's move on to second to last story. Oops. I didn't mean
they
to
need
add
to
that
know the
those
difference
markers. trying to go to my bookmarks here. Okay, so right here. So now we're going to where where Joe Rogan defends Vivek in this clip here. Vivek put this out and he thanks, not this one. I gotta wait for it to go back. Here we go. This one here. So this is the video we're going to be covering next. And this is Vivek thanks Joe Rogan for calling it out and what we're about to cover. And he's defending Vivek for these clear, just ridiculous CNN lies. And I'm not a fan of Vivek. I'm not voting for him or anything like that, but it's ridiculous. But so Joe Rogan calls out, how about it just says defends Vivek Ramaswamy. I think I'm learning how to pronounce his name better. So the more I say it. All right, so here we go. And Aaron, we're going to start it here. Joe Rogan calls, I'm sorry, it is wrong. It is wrong. Good thing I was going to read it. I was going to say calls out something, and then I changed it to just say defends Vivek. So now I should be able to do this. So now let's put that back up there. And now, Aaron, we're starting here. Joe Rogan defends Vivek Ramaswamy, and it's in a CNN clip where he's defending him, and it's on his latest show with David Smith. And we had a different segment earlier in the stream where we covered how they talked about the intelligence apparatus propagandizing Americans. This one, Vivek points out how Joe Rogan is explaining this. So Vivek says the anatomy of mainstream media smears cooked up by The Atlantic and amplified by CNN. Good for Joe Rogan explaining how this goes down. The reality is it happens daily. And here is the clip here. It says Vivek did nothing wrong. Joe Rogan and Dave Smith debunked the Atlantic's obvious smear campaign. And let's listen as they cover it here.
These questions.
So they're going after Vivek, pretending as if he's saying there's federal agents behind all of January 6th, pretending that he's saying there's federal agent. I forget about the other event. He's pretending when he clearly says in the audio, it probably is, or what we should know that. Is that not a question? And this is why I've always said January 6th, one, working class people, I don't know anybody in the hood. I don't know any working class people that go, damn, did you hear what happened on January? Nobody cares about that. Okay, that's one. But a second here. But to the point that he's making, he's saying that if there was agents there January 6th, isn't that something the American population should know? And the answer to that is yes. And that's anywhere. If it's 9/11, if it's the airplanes, we should know if there's federal agents on the plane. We should know if there's federal agents anywhere that they're being hidden. That's something we should know eventually, especially something like a January 6th. This is why I say I don't take the January 6th investigation at all as seriously, or the hearings, because it's the federal agents aren't front and center. That's who should be front and center, and that's the point that Vivek was making. But they're trying to make it seem like he's saying there were federal agents behind all of this stuff, and that's just simply not the case. And it's being disingenuous of CNN. I forget, is this Caitlin Collins? I think it's Caitlin Collins saying this. So and there was another clip. Let me see why I had this other one saved here. Oh, now, so we go from Vivek being defended by Joe Rogan to the flip of the coin to Vivek being absolutely terrible. And here he is here. He puts out this video too, and it says, I'll read the
that you would like to see Israel.
I'll read it before I'll play the video. By the end of my first term, this is if he's elected, the U.S.-Israel relationship will be deeper and stronger than ever because it won't be a client relationship. It will be a true friendship. The centerpiece of my Middle East policy in 1 year will be to lead Abraham Accords, which will fully integrate Israel into the Middle East economy, a brighter future of Israel and good for the U.S. So let's listen to this nonsense. So he's on the level with RFK when it comes to Israel. And let's listen. It's about a minute long.
But I want to ask you one more question. And that has to do with Israel, because you have said that you would like to see Israel get to a place where they don't need U.S. economic aid, right?
So I want to be very clear about that.
You see Israel as our most important partner in the Middle East.
Of course. And I think one of the top jobs that the U.S. and Israel share in common is making sure that we never get to a nuclear-armed Iran. I'll tell you this, Martha, is by the end of my first term, our relationship with Israel will be deeper than it ever has been, because it won't just be a client relationship. It'll be a true friendship.
Man, what is the Israel lobby doing to get people like Vivek and RFK to completely bow down to them and completely capitulate to Israel and completely just go above and beyond what's needed? It's just a complete fear. I don't know. It's just so bizarre that these so-called non-establishment candidates like RFK and Vivek, they both want to claim to be non-establishment, but they're both both aligned with the establishment when it comes to Israel, Palestine. So let's listen some more.
What do actual friends do? They push each other to be the strongest version of themselves. I've said that I would lead Israel to Abraham Accords 2.0, getting Saudi Arabia and Oman and Qatar into that agreement. That will take Israel into a brighter future. That's good for Israel, good for the United States. And I also believe that we have a lot to learn from Israel. I love their border policies, their tough on crime policies. Let's bring some of that home here to the United States as well. That's where
he loves their border policy and he loves their tough on crime policy. Maybe Vivek and RFK can run a no labels ticket. And their platform is who can be more over the top with Israel, right? Vivek Ramaswamy and RFK running together on the no labels ticket, one Republican, one Democrat. And their slogan is we hate Palestinians more than anybody else.
That's where I'm at.
To me, this is a tell. This is a tell that you're not a non-establishment. You projecting, I'm non-establishment, Israel. You can't. I'm sorry. You can't. That's like a tell that you are aligned, because that's one of the most establishment things that you can't cross. It's support for Israel. You see it in all the candidates. You saw it in Max Frost, who was down with the Palestinians, and as soon as he saw that he could be getting elected, he left them high and dry. You see what Jamal Bowman is doing. You see what Hakeem Jeffries is doing. So just disgusting, but we can end it there and go to our next and final segment. This one is, I think it might just be a headline. Do I have anything saved here? Auto strike approved. Yeah. So auto strike has been approved. I don't feel like changing it. So I don't need to put a banner up. Let's just play the video. 150 members of U.S. Art have voted. No, actually, I'm gonna just copy this and paste this here. So let's get a banner up for this final segment, because it is important that we cover these items, stuff like this, because strikes is what we can use to break the backs of these capitalist ghouls, these capitalist overlords. Strikes. So it's good, but we'd like to see them actually materialize. So let's go here, and this is a video I'll play. Let's see how much. I'm not playing the entire 8 minutes, but let's see how much of this we get through.
If you come in to work for Ford now, you can make more at McDonald's or White Castle.
We're on the verge of one of the biggest strikes of the year.
They want you to accept that they make billions in profits, that the leaders make millions in salaries, and we continue to live paycheck to paycheck.
Right now, the United Auto Workers are negotiating a new contract with 3 of the country's top car companies. And negotiations are looking a lot different than they have in years past.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do with their proposal. I'm going to file it in its proper place.
In an industry where jobs have been getting worse and worse over the years, this contract could be a historic win for 150,000 workers. Or it could be another victory for large corporations over the disappearing middle class. We sat down with workers to get the real story of what they're fighting for and how far they're willing to go to get it. For a long time, a job in the largely union auto industry meant good wages and stability. But that's not really the case anymore.
You can't afford nothing, you're working nonstop, and you still can't afford it. And you're at one of the jobs that was supposed to be the good job. You're supposed to be standard setting job, but you can barely make ends meet. A lot of people have had to secure second jobs or part-time work that they can go do.
Part of it is that wages haven't kept up with the cost of living. When adjusting for inflation, workers who are hired now make $10 an hour less than they did in 2007. This never used to be a problem because the UAW contract included COLA, or cost of living adjustments.
His grandfather and my father and the older members enjoyed a cost of living raise since the 1950s. So when we talk about rebuilding the middle class, COLA is an important step to do that.
COLA is essentially a raise that matches inflation. So if inflation is 4%, your salary goes up 4%. GM workers won COLA all the way back in 1948, and in the 1970s, the UAW won it for all members. But when the auto industry collapsed in 2008, the UAW sacrificed these benefits so the car companies could recover.
They came to us for the bailout. We suspended our cost of living in 2007. We were promised that after we helped the companies achieve success, that cost of living would be reinstated. Several contracts after, we're still at the situation where our cost of living was never brought back. So we all feel lied to in that regard.
The big three have more than recovered. Ford, Stellantis, and GM made a combined $20 billion in profits in just the first 6 months of this year.
Their wages have been returned. Their profits have been returned. When you see the bonuses and you see the CEO pay, all those things will return. So did I make the sacrifices so Ford can continue to hire people at speed?
Sorry, I had to turn down my other volume. But the cost of living, this is so despicable here that the cost of living, let me scoot over a little. The cost of living, so they were going through tough times. Just think about this. They were going through tough times. So the workers said, okay, you're going through tough times. We're a family. Go ahead. We can recover. Recover. Oh, it's going to come back. And it still hasn't come back. This was 2007 that this started. Let me adjust the, this here. This will be better. All right, so now let me play it a little bit more. I might be stopping and starting it. So here we go.
at $16 an hour and not return our COLA, I would have struck then.
COLA was not the only benefit lost during the Great Recession. Workers hired before 2009 had pensions, healthcare when they retired, and reached their top wage within 3 years. But workers like Chris, who were hired after the economic crash, didn't get any of that.
So this is like the body shop right here. We stamp all the parts, the hoods, the fenders, all that. I'm a quality inspector, and that's where I park every single day. It took me 9.5 years to get to top pay. And not to mention going through 4 different plants in 2 different states. Even though I'm at parity in wages right now, I have no guarantee of money coming in from a pension, and I have no health care when I retire. That's, guaranteed like everyone else.
The UAW is fighting to get rid of this tiered system, in which workers doing the same job sometimes have different pay and benefits.
It is hurtful to sit next to people and make less than they do and work just as hard as they do, no matter what industry and what you're doing.
It really puts a wedge between workers on the floor, and it hurts our union. And it's hurt our union for the last 15 years. Ending tiers brings us back to a fighting labor movement.
Right now, the majority of Big 3 workers are considered lower tier workers like Chris.
If I'm going to continue to be a part of this workforce that's making the companies record profits, I'd really like to be able to retire with some dignity, pension and some health care, so I don't have to struggle when I'm, 65, 70 years old.
There are still others who work full-time, but don't even get the benefits of lower tier workers.
I've been working 7 days because I have to, not because I want to, you know what I mean? And I don't think I should have to work 7 days to keep me and my family afloat.
Charles is what's known as a supplemental worker, which is supposed to be a temporary replacement for a full-time worker who's out on leave. But that's not what the companies are doing.
We have no 4-timers. We are the 4-timers. They shouldn't be hiring supplementals to circumvent getting 4-timers, but that's what it seems like this happening.
That's what they're doing.
By abusing the temp worker category, the companies get...
That's what they're doing. And it's typical. They do this in a lot of different industries. They do this with the temp agency. It's the same similar thing, but they do this with temp agencies too. So a company may hire 30 temp agency workers to do some administrative or do some office work, or like I worked at a healthcare industry. I think it was United Health one time. And he hired temp workers because what they don't have? Oh, we're getting paid $15, $16. And at that time, I think in California, the minimum wage was 12. Right now it's 14 or 15. Minimum wage at that time was 12. And we were getting paid 16. So it was like, oh, you're getting paid a lot of money. No, they were doing that because even though they were paying $16 an hour, maybe that'd be equivalent. Like if I was getting paid $27 an hour right now, you're paying them less if you're not giving them health care. So it's a way of circumventing certain things. Don't think that they're just doing temp agency just out of just because they just want to do it that way. They're doing it that way to do something, to circumvent something. And I do want to pause the video to bring up the article, the companion article for this, and then we're going to close out for today. U.S. auto workers vote by 97% for a strike authorization, expressing overwhelmingly determination to reverse UAW-backed concessions. Now, I'm hoping, or I'm assuming that one of those big things is what we were just talking about, that they gave away when the automaker was doing bad and they haven't gotten it back. So it's basically where COLA, I think they call it, where your pay kind of keeps up with prices going up. not exactly inflation, but it's something similar to that. So let's read a little bit of this article here and see. Workers at the Detroit 3 automakers have voted by 97% to authorize strike action in an overwhelmingly expression of determination by workers to win major advances in wages, benefits, and working conditions. The result was announced by the UAW on Friday, that's United Auto Workers, with just 3 weeks remaining till the expiration of contracts covering 150,000 workers at Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis. Sorry, not Stellantis. Stellantis. The near unanimous vote, strike vote, is part of an ongoing eruption of class struggle internationally, from the months-long strike by tens of thousands of workers and actors in the U.S. to strikes in the airline and transport industries in a number of European countries. And I know they're talking about UPS workers also. Struggles are looming among auto workers on multiple continents, including 150 Detroit 3 workers in the U.S. Another 18,000 auto workers in Canada whose contracts expire September 18th. Tens of thousands of VW workers in Germany and other countries who are fighting against mass job cuts, and 150 auto workers and metal workers in Turkey whose contracts also expire in September. Auto workers in the U.S. are determined to reverse decade UAW enforced concessions, seeking the elimination of tiers and part-time work, a mass pay raise, and the restoration of pensions under conditions where the auto companies are making fabulous profits off of their labor. The auto companies are no less determined to impose mass job cuts and devastating concessions as they transition to electric vehicle productions, and they are again reliant on the pro-company UAW apparatus to contain and demobilize the intense opposition built up in the working class. In this vein, the United Auto Workers apparatus has held a series of practice pickets outside auto plants led by Fan and the other top UAW bureaucrats, accompanied by militant-sounding rhetoric criticizing excessive corporate profits and bloated executive pay. At the same time, though, the UAW is parroting politicians from the big business Democratic Party as the allies of workers, and one of the surest signs that the union bureaucracy is preparing for betrayal. So they're cozying up to the Democratic Party, pretending like the Democrats are for workers, when all you know what that means. If you see somebody from the blue team come in, and you're part of it's a sellout coming. And as with the UPS vote, I believe it was ratified. The whole idea is to trick people into voting for these terrible sellout contracts, and it works a lot of times. If you come out and all of your media bought corporate outlets, corporate news, cable news, and saying, look, tentative agreement is here, we avoid a strike, the workers get all these great things, all before a vote is done. Is to psychologically like sort of manipulate the person who's actually voting. They do the same thing with candidates. So yeah, but the energy is there. Regardless if these sellout sort of contracts are being approved, the energy to strike is here. And that to me is the first step to some of these movement buildings that is going to be needed. And let's go. Oops. Go to YouTube. YouTube.com. Yeah, let's just go here. All right. So what I'm going to do is now read the final few super chats and then get on out of here. I want to thank everybody that came to watch. I'm looking for a closeout video. Wow, there's a lot of trippy videos that's popping up here. What do they have here? Sorry, here I go again, doing my web searching with all of you here to watch. I think I'll go with this one here. I'll go with this one. So I'm going to throw up your comments and everything.
Is Joe Biden set for a Hillary-level 2016 catastrophe? That's what
he is, and all the writing is on the wall. But let me read the final two super chats. We got another new member. Three new members today. Welcome all three new members. Welcome Aaron Costello. Welcome Aaron Costello to RBN YouTube family. And Name My Taco. I hope that RBN invites Dave Smith on someday. That would be some interesting agreements and disagreements. He's a libertarian, but anti-establishment. Yeah, I don't know Dave Smith enough to know enough what I would be sort of in agreement with him and not in agreement with him. That's the first time I've heard of him today. And just going to shout out the members again. New members today. We had Natalie Williams join today. We had Marilyn Kelly joined today, and we had Aaron Castillo join today. So welcome all of our new members, and we're going to close out with this video here. Thank you everybody for watching. We just crossed, we're at 3 hours and 13 minutes today streaming. That is your Saturday stream for this weekend for RBN. I don't think anybody else is streaming today. Tomorrow, I think JB is not streaming. So somebody else may stream tomorrow, but we shall see. Check out this video from The Hill.
What the analysts over at MSNBC discussed on yesterday's episode of Meet the Press, citing the president's lukewarm poll numbers.
Before the 2020 election, he was right side up, which in our polarized politics is quite astonishing. But look, Trump and Rudy Giuliani began this campaign to try to tarnish Biden, to try to turn him into the Clinton name, you know, with the obsession over the Ukraine businesses with Hunter. And it's worked. His numbers now look more like Hillary Clinton 16 than Biden 20. Kimberly, maybe abortion is the difference there, that will bail him out, but that doesn't look good for him.
Well, it won't bail him out on its own. I mean, to the point about focusing on the economy, yes, the economy is important. The two biggest issues is democracy, and an offshoot of that is the abortion issue. That is something that should be front and center of a message. Yes, you have to talk about the economy, and through that, he can tout the achievements that he made and sort of boost that incumbency value. But he seems to be campaigning in a bygone era that he feels more comfortable in, that he wishes the world were. But that's not where we are right now. We have the former president about to go on trial for attacking the nation's election.
I mean, this is two people who are well-known commodities. At the end of the day, Joe Biden's going to run against Donald Trump.
That's what this campaign is going to be about. So you might as well make it about Donald Trump now. If that's your goal, if that's where you have to go to win this election.
Donald Trump's making it about Biden.
There are two people who are way underwater. Like, this is going to be about one another. And so just get on with it.
But the Democratic Party, like Tim Walz, they're rallying around Joe Biden in part because they believe that that's the safe play. That's 3 yards in a cloud of dust, to use a seasonal metaphor, Chuck. But what if that actually is the riskier option? You showed those numbers right there.
What if, in fact, Biden isn't suffering from being attacked? What if, in fact, Biden is especially vulnerable to those attacks? And what looks damningly similar to what happened in 2016 is that there wasn't even a fraction of a second where Hillary Clinton's camp took seriously the critiques that it was getting, not just from, let's say, bad faith actors on the right that just wanted her to go down and be going down, but from people on the left and from people within the mainstream Democratic Party who felt like she was out of touch, that she was running like a 90s era candidate that was trying to trim up her neoliberal, trade policies and the like, with a bunch of woke speak about intersectionality after having stood by her husband as he passed the crime bill and cut welfare and did more to hurt the social safety net than any Republican could ever dream of, who looked at her and said, that isn't enough. She has to reckon with her policies and explain to us why she's going to be a different kind of candidate going forward. And she didn't do that. She didn't take it seriously. She said, Russia, 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 and played the blame game, campaigned poorly and lost. And are we seeing any clarity from the Biden camp that they understand that this is a serious problem that they'd have to contend with? Or are we going to get another campaign where he thinks he can win from the basement?
He thinks he's going to win. He thinks abortion's going to bail him out. Is that? That's going to be a little bit more distant in people's memories. Maybe you can count on some other right-wing Supreme Court decision to help you. It sounds like, at least what some of those advisors were saying, is that they're not worried because once it's clear that Trump is the challenge. I mean, it's not technically clear right now, even if it's pretty clear. I mean, it's a little ambiguous, again, because of the legal situation. I genuinely think it's, at this point, kind of wild. But they think once it's clear that he's up against Trump, that favorability number will rebound, because when it's just a binary choice between the two of them, people they think more fondly of Biden when they have the Trump spectacle in their faces. That seems to be their theory.
How did that go for Hillary? How did that go for Hillary?
Well, it went well for Biden last time.
Biden also had COVID last time.
Right.
And people very strongly believed, because of statements that Trump was making, that he was going to be cavalier, unsafe, and not rise to the moment when there was a broad consensus that COVID was a problem, there were no vaccines, and it was killing people. And our hospitals were packed to the gills, and people were losing their loved ones left and right. Real people were experiencing real loss of loved ones. And they wanted to make sure that someone competent was going to administer and distribute these vaccines. I think that's largely why Biden won. Not to mention the fact that he made a lot of promises, very specific promises, about sending out $2,000 checks, about canceling student debt, about addressing the economic crisis that the country was in. And you might think that Bidenomics worked and inflation has been brought down in some respects, and in many respects it has been. But many Americans disagree. They say that life is worse than it was for them 4 years ago. They say that he hasn't meaningfully addressed any of the inflationary sectors of the economy: education, healthcare, food, transportation, and that he has specifically reneged on any number of promises. And you can say, oh, it's the Republicans' fault, it wasn't his fault, blah, blah, blah. The point is, he went to Georgia, said, if you win me this state, I'm going to do all of these things. And then he immediately reneged and has been blaming the Republicans the whole time. So if his pitch is, I can't do anything because Republicans won't let me, then what's the point of voting for him in the first place?
Well, what they're saying is because democracy is at stake, because Trump is this existential evil. He has to be. The ring has to be thrown into the volcano. He needs to be destroyed. That's the cable news establishment Democratic view of why of course Trump is this unique evil who has ever existed. So there's nothing that needs to be promised or done, and that message will be enough. And I don't know. I mean, it was enough in 2020. You're right. The circumstances were different. But ultimately, look, if they don't. People need to get into the race and challenge Biden if that's what's going to happen.
Well, there are people in the race challenging Biden.
Well, and see how well that's going. I mean, how do you square the view that it's so obvious that Democrats need someone else and so many Democrats want someone else, but there are other people running, and they're getting
because they don't. These panels don't even acknowledge the fact that there are other people running. They don't. They will. I mean, if I had spoken to many people
I think
several
if
people-
massive numbers of Democrats
Wait a minute.
actually want a different candidate, someone would be able to exploit that to their benefit.
I think that I've spoken to several people who aren't even aware that there are challengers to Biden in the race, who don't even know. Because why? How would they know? Where are they going to turn on the TV?